Before we begin, in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. This acknowledgement was brought to you by CalgaryFoundation.org. Now, back to the podcast.
Tyler, do you want me to introduce you as Darth Revan then in the episode?
Oh, fuck yeah.
All right.
Oh my god.
Brooke, do you want me to introduce you as Leia?
No.
No.
I was trying to think of a Star Wars.
I cannot take that title.
Okay.
Just be senator Organa or something like that.
Senator, that's a great idea.
Senator
I love that.
Organa, yeah. Gabe, Marcus, who's your character? I've never heard of this character before.
Alright, so Tulak.
Don't go into it yet. We gotta wait. We gotta wait.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey there.
Bonjour.
My name is Dean, and welcome back to the InkGuild podcast. Just go to fucking therapy.
If I develop Sims, delete the channel.
We need to start a revolution.
And you know what? I'm gonna say it.
All of them are fucking idiots.
25 is technically you.
Just say your morning routine.
And that's fucking it. Excuse me?
Where my Grisha's at? Yo.
I'd like you to rephrase that, Simp.
Is my guilty boner. Like, you'll attract the kind of people that are into serial killers. That's still bigger than a city.
It's more than one planet.
Percy Jackson is Greek mythology fanfiction.
Boneless. Oh my god.
No. Hello, everybody. My name is Dean, and welcome back to the InkGuild podcast. Tonight, I have Gabe.
Hello.
Brooke.
Yeah, hi.
Marcus.
Hey, good morning, Kanye.
Darth Revan.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Just gotta do my, second fetch quest here on Taurus. Why are all these people's apartments so easy to break into?
Yo, dude, Taurus is cool, but it's really boring and really grindy for no reason, and the routes make no sense. Shut up. I'm having PTSD. Oh god.
And lastly...
You got 5 seconds to do it.
Oh my god. Joining us for this discussion tonight, Leo.
Hello.
So, there is kind of a lot to kind of quickly go through because tonight is going to be a very interesting episode of the InkGuild podcast. First and foremost, this episode is kind of our first ever mid-season finale. We've recorded this episode on August 12th, where in 2 days I will be going on vacation. However, most of you will be listening to this episode on August the 19th. Fingers crossed. Well, so much for that. I couldn't and honestly didn't want to edit an almost 3-hour discussion of Star Wars while I was away on vacation. I just figured that was too much, and for all of the terms that I didn't know of, because I'm not a Star Wars person, I needed to be home to do this episode properly. So yeah, the 1 week hiatus still applies though. So after this episode, the InkGuild podcast and all of us will be taking a week break from uploading. We'll be back on September the 8th after we've all had some collective time to kind of adjust to our schedules and whatnot. So see you all then. But don't let me keep you waiting. Let's get back to the podcast. After that, pretty much there will be no new episodes of the InkGuild podcast for about a week until I'm able to get back to editing. And with that being said, tonight's host will be Gabe once I kind of finish up how tonight will work. So I just wanted to give everyone the heads up in regards to the season or the mid-season finale tonight. Leo is a friend of Gabe's, and typically we like to talk about any friends that come onto the podcast, talk a little bit about themselves. However, given tonight's topic and the length of just how much there is to talk about, I think we might just skim over that. If Leo ever decides to come back, that's when we might do a proper introduction for him. But aside from that, I think all of that kind of preliminary stuff out of the way. Tonight, for the mid-season finale of season 5 of the InkGuild podcast, we're going to be talking about Star Wars, or rather, these 5 are going to, because I'm going on vacation in a couple days, I will unfortunately be pretty busy and will hence be kind of checking myself out for the night. However, I'll leave the recording on and make sure that, you know, these 5 kind of talk about whatever the hell they want when it comes to Star Wars. It's kind of been just a unanimous agreement since the beginning that there's a lot to talk about. I don't want to police it, and let's just let these 5 go. So I think that's all of my setup. That should be it. I'll just hand it over to Gabe then. So once I mute up, that's when you guys are free to go. So, all right. Have a good night, you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
No.
Oh,
Jedi
okay.
Master Gabriel, post your meeting plan.
Should I wait? You want me to post? You want me to post it? You want me to post it? Post that?
Yeah, you have to
Post
post it. So,
that
bro,
shit.
this is our Jedi Council meeting, so we have to know what the fuck we're doing, you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
The Jedi definitely knew what they were doing.
I don't think we grant the Toonie the right of master yet, though. Just personal thoughts.
The Toonie deserves. He's the majestic. That's a level like above
He's
master.
the majestic Toonie.
Yeah.
Hot take. I think Droman Cos is the best planet in Sorter, and that's.
I agree. Actually,
is such a better planet.
I've full on agree. Like Coruscant was so boring compared to in SWTOR. Like
Excuse me?
Yeah, Coruscant sucked in SWTOR. Like normally it's great, right? It's such a cool planet, but like on SWTOR, it really sucked. Like it was just.
I know that I just said we were going to start with the original trilogy, but I'm going to start by kicking your ass. You talking shit about Coruscant, my boy?
It's not in general. It's in this specific instance of Coruscant. It's just real crappy.
So I do have a fun little question.
Lost is better than Coruscant, to be honest.
Okay, most things are kind of better than Coruscant if we try and look at, kind of just logistics and history. So can anyone tell me, was Coruscant a planet before people started building cities on it, or did they start with a satellite?
It was a planet, to my knowledge.
I believe canonically it was a planet. Like it's suggested that's where humans came from, the near human species.
Suggested, yes. However, if we look at the mass and size of Coruscant, the amount of singular resources to actually build something as such is firstly astronomical. Secondly, given how deep Coruscant fucking goes, and it's deep. If we know anything about it, like the game 1313, at least very much tells us that there is over that many levels of fucking steel girders to it. There is no fucking planet that can be that small of a size within that much crust to support gravity that pulls people in to stand on the top crust of the gravity. Anyways,
that's actually a good point. Going into the physics of it, yeah. I had the same discussion one time when I was doing. I think this was actually literally when Revenge of the Sith first came out, and I was doing a movie thing with some people, and we had that discussion where they were like, we were watching like the other 2 movies before we went to go see Revenge of the Sith. And they were like, we had that discussion. I was like, it's 100% also a planet, because like they go later and they're so excited about the Death Star, right? They're like, oh my God, it's so big. And it's like, come on. Like, I mean, it's not that big. If Coruscant is also a giant space station, it puts the Death Star is nothing. Just a crappy little tiny moon-sized space station. That's boring as heck.
All right, so the original trilogy, Gabe.
The original trilogy, yes.
Okay, I'll admit first, I was introduced to the prequel before the original trilogy, and so I have a pretty opinion about the original trilogy, to be honest.
This is a fun way to intro everybody. Hold on, Gabe. I'm going to hijack you momentarily. We should do something from the InkGuild, which is where we each go through, Gabe introducing us in order, and tell what our first experience with Star Wars is.
I think we should. You want me to go first?
Jedi Master Gabriel, you have the floor.
Okay. I mean, what I was about to say was I think like that's like the starting with the prequels. That's like a fairly normal experience for people our age. I mean, like unless like we grew up with parents who are like very hardcore Star Wars fans, I feel like it's pretty like natural for us to like have grown up and like those were the Star Wars movies that were coming out when we were dumb little kids. And like, I mean, though, I think I don't really remember watching the original trilogy at any point before watching the prequel trilogy. I think like at some point I may have watched them, but like I definitely the prequel trilogies are the ones that's what I remember from being a kid at least. So I guess that was my introduction.
I volunteer Brooke to talk next.
Yeah, Brooke, you're next in order.
Oh yeah.
Oh, just going in order. Okay, cool. Yeah. I think I saw a preview for the Clone Wars on TV, and that was how I found Star Wars. Actually, it's very interesting to me because all of my brothers were really into Star Wars. Like, one of them is a massive fucking nerd, and he never got me into it. So I saw the preview for like the pilot of the Clone Wars, saw that, said, "Oh, that looks like a really stupid show." Mentioned that to said nerd brother. And he said, "What the fuck? You haven't seen Star Wars? I will show you right now." And we watched the prequels because he thought my tiny child brain would not enjoy the original series. So I watched the prequels. My mom absolutely hated the third one because it was too graphic for me. And then I watched the original trilogy where they had literal smoking bones on the screen. And she's like, "That's fine." And then I became a massive Star Wars lover as well. Bada boom, bada bing.
Yeah, killing the younglings. That was great thing to show kids. All right. So I might have a different experience then. When I was very young, my aunt would babysit me. And the only way to get me to shut the fuck up was to put on Star Wars. And she was a massive Star Wars nerd. She had all the books from the old EU from after the original trilogy. So she would sit down, she'd put on the first, because it is the first, everybody, please. And I'd run through all three of the original trilogy, not saying a fucking peep. And when I grew up, she was like, "Hey, Tyler liked these," and shipped me this massive goddamn box of books, which I have made it all the way through from the original EU. So that's my experience with Star Wars.
That is beautiful. Yeah. All right. Well, mine is fairly conventional. I was a Trekkie for years, so before, but like that was my thing. I love the original series. I didn't watch any.
I believe the council has provoked your right to speak now.
I was about to say,
kick him now, Gabe.
I was a Trekkie first. Leo, I got converted. Yeah.
I'm fairly certain, like, despite me knowing fuck all about Star Wars, I'm pretty sure you just committed a sin. Admitting that.
I think so. Yeah. Well, and I'm one of those happy people who say I am bitrektual. I like both Star Wars and Star Trek. And so really there's
why what?
That was
bitrektual.
That's the first time I've ever heard that word. Oh my god.
Bitrektual. It's a choice. But anyways, yeah, and
we need to accept all Trektualities, everybody.
Exactly.
All Trektualities are welcome.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, this is a welcoming space. But anyways, over time, like I started out really liking Star Trek, and then as the years went by, I started to get into the legends and everything, like all the books, literally all the books, all the video games, all the comics. I have not read all the comics yet, but I have read all the novels that matter. I've read a Star Wars novel where the premise is about an intergalactic pop star that fights the Black Sun gang. There have been so many novels written about Star Wars, and I have read most of them. And so, but it all started with A New Hope, as it does. That was the first introduction to Star Wars for me.
Okay, my turn. I get to flex now. All right, so my first ever moment where I was really into Star Wars, like I knew I was dead ass into Star Wars is like I have this one thing that hangs in my room. Okay, y'all remember Disneyland's Tomorrowland Terrace or something like that, and they had like a live Star Wars show or whatever. I would like so what would happen is that if you go there with your family and you're a kid, these fucking like these staff members in Jedi clothing would just practically kidnap you, place you on a stage, and give you a plastic sword and be like, okay, we're gonna teach you how to like do lightsaber combat. And I was like, yo, this is pretty sick. And then this fucking dude coming out cosplaying as Darth Maul, yo, I bonked him on the head, and I got a certificate. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm sticking with this for life. And yeah, so that was my intro to Star Wars.
That is fantastic.
So yours started with lightsaber murder. Good way to start.
Yeah, like honestly, it was really funny because like the kid next to me, they did the entire because you learned a sequence, right? And then he was like, do a force push, and then like he did it, and then I was like, I didn't do a force push. What the fuck?
Well, you committed murder, and I hear the New Republic hands out medals for that. So.
This is where
okay. This is how we got in the series. I believe Dean is still muted, but I guess we'll never know. It'll be one of life's greatest mysteries, I guess. How Dean knows about Star Wars, how Dean found out about this niche underground series.
He knows about Star Wars. It's pretty under there.
I can briefly go on about it.
You're here.
I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know.
You'll never know. It's a mystery again.
Yeah, I wonder how like I ever found out about Star Wars. Just who knows if I'll ever speak it.
Who knows? Truly.
I'm sure it's from the memes.
To be perfectly honest, I don't even know if I saw A New Hope first. Like, it was so long ago that I don't know how I found out about Star Wars.
See,
I'm pretty sure
the first movie I remember watching was Attack of the Clones, and I know I saw Phantom Menace before that. Like I know it is probably correct, but the first one that I have like a tangible memory of watching was Attack of the Clones. So who knows? Maybe I have dementia.
I think my first memory with the films was like Qui-Gon's funeral. So like yeah. And then like and fucking Anakin's like, what's gonna happen to me now? And then Obi-Wan's like, I'm gonna train you. And he's like, okay.
I'm gonna kidnap you and force you to become a child soldier. Hooray!
I'm gonna force you to become a child soldier under your will, even though the council says you're too old for it. But I say whatever.
But
this is like, sorry.
Like I was saying, like all good series, we should start at the beginning with episode 4. No, with episode 4. Not episode 3.
Actually, I fully agree. I think we should start with the original trilogy and have our piece on that first, and then we can move on to everything else.
Okay.
Yeah, we should talk about episode 4. What? So what is it? What does everyone think? What does everyone think of episode 4? What are y'all motherfuckers think of episode 4?
If you watch it first, I think it's like a proper introduction. But I think if you watch it in sequence of like prequel to episode 4, then like you can piece things together and then you have like a better experience. So like
for proper, I've never actually thought about the proper like viewing order of Star Wars, because like at this point it's like every movie is just ingrained, and watching them at this point kind of
it's
normally with any other movie I would
repetition.
But like for someone who's never seen any Star Wars before, I have no idea what advice to give on where they should begin.
You've never seen any none of us have actually ever seen a Star Wars movie. We're all posers.
This is
wait.
I want to intro this by saying I fucking hate Star Wars. By the way, that's why I'm here.
I hate Star. This is a Star Trek episode now.
Don't you speak that sin in this house, Gabe?
Something. Fuck. Hyperdrive.
Just a heads up.
Midi-chlorians.
Because I am the one
I love Midi-chlorians. Sorry, go on. I'm throwing in my piece there.
Just as a heads up, I'm the one who is like on social media, so if you guys are going to be committing sin, I'm going to be the one who's going to get the brunt of it on social media.
We're all on
just a heads up.
They know my name.
They'll be the first. Because you guys won't get the hate mail first. I will.
If any Star Wars, I'm going to say this right now. If any Star Wars fans are listening to this and they got shit to say to me either by now or by the end of the episode, Dean, why don't you go ahead and put my full address and postal code?
I'm just saying. I'm not saying stop.
No. Dean, you better set this next part, okay? Hey, buddy, if you don't like what I'm saying, here's my address. It's 123.
I'm not saying you guys should stop. I'm just saying like that's what's gonna happen. And to be fair, Star Wars fandom, y'all are the fucking worst. Bye.
That's cap. Anime fans are way worse than Star Wars. Okay?
Except for you guys. You five are cool. Just a lot of the fan base that I've seen. Just God, you guys suck ass.
All right. Back on
At some point, we have to. Yeah, we got to talk about future Star Wars projects too, because
we'll get to that. It's on the
list. God damn it.
Yeah. Wait! I thought we were on episode 5 now. Oh god,
we're on. I thought we haven't even started
episode 4 yet.
Started episode 4.
Yeah.
Right.
So, since I am apparently the cardinal of this chat who is trying to force episode 4 on everyone, I will start. My introduction was with the original trilogy. I will say I'm a prequel boy. I love world building and expansion of universes. However, 4 to 5 to 6 are a wonderful space adventure romp.
What are you doing, stepbrother?
What? Anyways,
what are you doing, twin bro? What are you doing?
Talking about Leia and Luke, of course. Which is weird. I will fully admit. But it was early. And you gotta remember,
did they change it into like a cheek kiss instead of like a full-on kiss?
I think they did, but we have to remember as well, they weren't exactly sure if they were going to get movie 2 and 3, so they kind of had to wrap it up with a campy love interest for at least episode 1.
And if
we're talking about episode 1 or 4, whichever you call it, as a whole, like one good space adventure romp. We have the main character could be learning a cool power. The mentor gets killed by the big bad, making us hate him more. The climactic final battle. For a simple, easy adventure romp, it is fantastic. Right?
And
I don't think
good.
anyone can disagree with that.
Well, and I'd love to compare it kind of to what we're seeing in movies now. And I don't want to say that like in a derogatory term, because we've had a lot of good movies recently, like the new Suicide Squad was great. But like, the original Star Wars, for a while we had this drought of movies where you'd never get something that felt as full as the original Star Wars, like A New Hope. Like you watch the movie, so much happens, and each of the like none of it is boring, even though the effects I still think are really like they use them in the best way possible, where it doesn't age terribly. Like it still doesn't age great, but like it's not like there's anything that's obviously CGI. And so like you watch it now and it holds up. So much happens throughout the movie. You're entertained throughout. There's no real dry, boring moments. It's just a really solid movie.
And I think that's where a lot of people should start Star Wars. In my opinion, you should always start at the beginning.
Agreed.
And it leading into, and if we're going to speak of the original trilogy as a whole, the setup in 5 to 6, as well as the general expansion of the universe, even ever so slightly in 5, to including the different races, to tactics, to sort of how the rebels operate. And not to mention between 4 and 5, we do have like a little bit of a time skip that shows our heroes have progressed outside of the movies, which is something I don't think we get in a lot of television or movies nowadays. Everything is happening days or hours apart. One season will take place, then a day will pass, and the next season starts. And I realize that's a lot of people wanting to see their characters, but I loved the start in 5, where you get to see, Han's now thinking of leaving, but he's apparently one of their best pilots, and there's this little bit of cute interplay between him and Leia. Luke's now like one of their aces, because guess what? These motherfuckers destroyed the Death Star. Sorry, we should probably be awarding them some pretty big titles, not just a medal. Also, we should also give Chewie a medal. Just fucking saying, that's a little racist. And then the Darth Vader's back introduction, because even though I've seen it a million times, the hallway scene in 4 is fantastic, but I loved his reintroduction in 5 simply because if you were an audience watching way back in the day, you didn't know he was coming back.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, and he's like still quintessentially one of the best villains ever introduced. Appearance-wise, voice-wise, his presence, like nothing compares to that. And that's a huge reason to watch the first movie like first, to get introduced to it with that, because I even think like it's almost nicer to see this villain first, and then you go back to the prequels and you see like young Anakin, and you're like, oh my god, he's so annoying, right? Like in the first movie, I can't even remember the name. Like, you know, he's so annoying, but then he gets so, like,
you look like an angel.
Yeah.
My mom tells me about angels.
Angels on the outer rim. Jeez, Rick, there's angels on the outer rim.
I think the biggest thing for me now is that like because before when I watched the prequels after watching the original trilogy, I focused more so on Anakin. But like now when I look at the prequels, I focus more so on Palpatine, because I think Palpatine was just the hidden star of like the prequels.
I agree. Like Ian McDiarmid. Ian McDiarmid. He's literally fantastic. Like I hated all the new movies. Yeah, I hated like all the new Disney movies, but just the fact they brought him back will make me watch it, just because he gave it his all. He loves the role. I'm never gonna denounce his performance in that, even though I hate everything that happened. He's still just fantastic.
Spoilers.
Like he's
Spoilers.
so good. Spoilers. Yeah, sorry.
Spoilers. We're talking about 4, 5, 6. Come on.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, we got a ways to go. Oh yeah,
I love the part in episode 5 where Chewie and Han admit their love to each other and move out together and to live in an apartment in New York City to pursue their job as artists.
We got to target the holiday special, everyone. That was the second Star Wars thing ever created. The introduction of Boba Fett. He wasn't a thing. Mandalorians exist because of the Star Wars holiday special.
Spin-off movie. That's point 4 on the list. All right.
Okay, fair enough.
Gabe, Brooke, 4, 5, and 6.
Yes. Oh, well, either way, it sounds like, I think the one thing that can be said about the original series is that almost everyone has seen it. I know a few people who haven't. I know a few people who have only seen the new movies, but like, okay. But yeah, like I think what can be said about the original series is, as far as movies from that time frame go, they will always stand up and they will always just give at least us, like our generation, that warm feeling. Maybe in time they might lose, they might end up becoming a thing of the past, but I think, like, regardless, they'll always be a very important movie. Like, they'll always be one of the first big space epic films like that. Like, they're a first of its kind in a lot of ways. Like, you did have Star Trek before as the original series, but you never really had something like Star Wars until the first Star Wars. And then that happened, and so forever it will be an art piece. Even if people don't enjoy it like they used to, or like how, because I'm terrible about this when it comes to video games, where if there's really old games, I only recently watched a playthrough like the old Fallouts and stuff, and I really liked them, but like I couldn't play them because new games for me are just so much more engaging, even if they're worse than the old games. So it's the same with movies. I think over time they'll start to lose their appeal to younger generations, but as an art piece and as a thing that should always be remembered, I think they always will be. I don't think Star Wars is ever going to die, and I think that's because of the original trilogy.
Totally.
Yeah.
I feel like I was almost hesitant to like even include it on the list. Like, we obviously have to talk about the original trilogy if we're talking about Star Wars, but I was almost hesitant to like just not even put it on the top. Like, so I feel like it's it's almost a foregone conclusion. You know what I mean? Like,
it's almost like religious text at this point. Like, it's like it's so
Like controversial statement, possibly controversial statement. Buckle your seatbelts, fellas. Original trilogy, good.
Yeah.
I think I give it a solid 8. And that's me that doesn't like indulge too much in original trilogy stuff.
I do think it's interesting to talk about them though, because it's like we were like, we were all talking in the introduction, and we all talked about like our how we got introduced to the series, and then like I feel like a lot of the conversations surrounding the original trilogy, like there's that whole, what the fuck is that documentary called? The one about George Lucas, but it's actually the one not about George, the people versus George Lucas. That's the one. It's like, and that's all like, it's like 30 to 40-year-olds people like who grew up with the original trilogy, and I feel like there isn't a lot of like people our age talk about the original trilogy, because I feel like we all kind of like we got in the game like way late, so I feel like it's an interesting perspective, I think, on these like much older movies, because we don't have like a lot of the same like
we didn't see it in theaters. Yeah, like we weren't there, and that like I would honestly, I like living now because of all the tech and stuff, but imagine being back in like the 70s, or yeah, I guess it was the 70s, and you like go you go to the theaters and like you see that as the like compared to every other movie that's ever been made, it's gonna leave such a lasting impact. Like that's gonna be would have been like
I mean, back then, back in like the 1970s, it's like nothing that had existed prior to that. It's kind of insane. Like even if I watch like a really good movie now, like a movie that I'm like I watch and I'm like, that was fucking incredible, it's not, I won't come out of it and be like, that was like nothing I had ever seen in my entire life. Like okay, yeah.
I have a few. So nothing like that had ever existed. I'm going to say that one's a falsity. In movies, yes, but in literature form, no.
Oh well, yeah.
No. I mean, no. Like in literature form, totally. Like there had been like Dune, and there had been like Space Up. I do mean like in movies and stuff like
Asimov's Foundation, which I loved, a beautiful book, one of my favorite books ever. Yeah.
There's this kind of big space opera, and I mean like all like the crazy special effects in the original trilogy. Like even just that first movie. Like imagine watching that first movie, and like your experience with movies has been like very real looking. Well, maybe not real looking. Movies didn't really get realistic until like much later in Hollywood. But like you know what I mean? Like historical movies or like period pieces and stuff like that. You never really seen a movie that was just like made with people like, let's build something that looks like nothing that exists from the ground up. Let's just make that shit
just see it.
Well, it's like it would have been crazy. It would have been insane.
Yeah,
it's like
you're not wrong. I'm not saying anyone's wrong in this regard, but Dune and Foundation was the other one I was going to mention, are very popular for reasons, to the point where they're getting movies right now based on the original books. You don't see anyone remaking Star Wars, but we know that both Dune and Foundation did inspire Star Wars. They have a lot of the same tropes, but I'm leading into something else, because we've all had varying experiences with Star Wars, but Brooke, as someone who I don't think really saw much of the original trilogy as compared to the others, what were your thoughts on the campy, poor CGI space adventure?
Oh no, like when I first watched it, I still thought it was great, and my love of the original trilogy definitely got like reimagined recently with the whole release of the like behind the scenes of making them on Disney Plus. I watched that documentary and it was just like, God damn, that's amazing. That's so cool. Like watching it when I was younger, I was still like, this is really neat. But because I'm a spoiled 2000s baby, I definitely love like more recent.
Very gamer for me.
It's like recent movies with like more high tech, like budget and whatnot. I mean, to be fair, the prequels didn't have great visuals.
Bro, Holocron is just a book.
I mean, kind of. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I actually gave the exact same score to the original trilogy as someone else. I said 8 out of 10. Like they still like hold up so well, and like they're great for a rewatch. Just like from kicking nostalgia, look back at the past and be like, this was really like amazing and new and trend-setting back in the day, and it still is great today. It'll fall out of favor eventually because it's just like getting old, but it's great.
Well, And that's kind of what I wanted to mention was kind of how the fact that it's about medium as well. It's not just about like the story. It's also about the medium that story is presented. It's like soon we're going to have VR tech, right? Like we are Half-Life Alyx, right? I'd actually never played it, but I've seen some gameplay and I put on the headset and, tried it. I can't remember, but I've given it a try before just to see. And it did feel different, like compared to every other VR game that felt very clunky and new and kind of like, it's nothing, right? It felt like a real experience. Like that game felt like, okay, wow, VR is an actual thing. It's not like a novelty. It is like the next stage in entertainment or the next stage in like that sort of thing. And it's similar to like when you look at Star Wars when it first came out, and it was like perfecting the art of, in my opinion, because it was right in my sort of genre of choice, but like almost perfecting the art of movie making and using it to one of the best of its ever abilities up until that point. Like it was a 10 out of 10 when it first came out. There's so few things that could have been like it. And then as time has gone on now, we see it starts to lose some of its charm because there's so much competition of things that have built on what it created, and soon we're going to have probably something that knocks a bunch of our old favorite games out of the water, like Skyrim, which I know I shouldn't even say that because but like Skyrim, like the games like that will become obsolete and old, even though like I remember my first experience with that was just mind blowing as well. It was kind of like I'd never played a game other than Fallout 3, which I actually played after Skyrim. So Skyrim was the first real big open world that I experienced like that. So I think like the same thing will happen, but I think that's what Star Wars did in that medium.
I do agree that Star Wars was very trend setting, right? And everyone apparently agrees very well on the original trilogy being, good in its own sense, despite medium timing, and let's talk cultural significances around that as well. Even though it was a long time after a world war, it was very interesting to see something on the side of, insurrection with the Vietnam War so close behind, and with the insurrection being the main, protagonists and stuff. It was very different to what it necessarily would have been given the time period. And with that, we can move on to something I think more modern and definitely a lot more divisive. The prequel.
The prequels.
Yes.
The babies.
The babies.
This is the one I think
underrated.
So
I think when it released, it was pretty okay, but now with the stuff behind it, all the stuff like adding on to it, it's pretty good.
So again, my experience with this is seemingly old in that I did watch the originals and then I read a lot of those extended universe books, and I will never fucking call it Legends. At point of gun or sword, I will never call it Legends. The original EU did a lot of universe expansion. They went to different planets, they saw different characters, interacted with how the Empire and the New Republic worked, how and what the Empire did. And I'll tell you why I love the prequels, because I do. I love them more than most Star Wars fans. And I'm making a very big generalization there. And it's because of that world expansion. They took a lot of the things that were already established in the EU books and went and made them full canon in the movies. They didn't go back and say, these books weren't good, we're going to scrap that bit and this race we're going to change. They did some editing to make sure that everything fit with the vision, and then they made it with all of those authors' work included and contributing to the greater general picture. And that is one of the main reasons I fucking love the prequels, is the expansion of the universe.
I feel the same way. I fucking adore the prequel trilogy. I watched them back recently after I had like a big argument with a mutual friend of mine and Leo's. We had a bit of a tiff over the prequel trilogy because I think they're great. People will go on about like their various issues, and like I'm not saying they don't have issues. They have their issues, but there's like lines of dialogue that don't exactly hit, and there's I know a lot of people talk about, especially in that, again, that there's that big documentary that they did, The People versus George Lucas, where they talked about how much CGI is used and the dialogue and all that stuff. But I think honestly, as far as the dialogue is concerned, I find it to be there's only small chunks of dialogue. It's mostly with the Padme Anakin romance stuff where it just doesn't really hit and is a little bit off. But I think most of the rest of the dialogue is it's perfectly fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. And the CGI, in my opinion, I think it's I think it's used well. I think obviously I do like practical effects. I mean, I think practical effects are fucking awesome, and I love watching BTS footage of the prequel trilogy, and just any 70s 80s science fiction movie with just a bunch of costumes and props and makeup and stuff. I love that shit. But I do think, and so obviously that part of me is whenever I watch the prequel trilogy, I do see some stuff in those movies, and I'm this looks awesome, but I feel like it this could have looked cooler, if it was more real looking, and But then there's a lot of other stuff that I look at, and I'm this would have been fucking impossible to do with practical effects.
Yeah.
That whole I watched the Revenge of the Sith just last night. That entire opening sequence of Revenge of the Sith, where it's the whole big space battle, it's fucking incomprehensible to try to do that with practical effects. It's not even we wouldn't even be worth discussing. If back in the 90s or the 70s or 80s, you approached a studio with a script that had a scene like that, they would be get the fuck out of here. I don't want to talk to you. You're a lunatic. But and so a part of me can understand why there's a lot of CGI. It was a time in Hollywood when CGI was it was really sort of just coming out in full force, and people were there's this crazy new technology where we don't have to worry about whether or not it's possible to do in practical, because we can just bring it to life with fucking computer magic. And I honestly think, as much as some of the green screen doesn't work, maybe the characters look a little off, the big set pieces and the big ship battles in the prequel trilogy, and the big every big sequence that would have been impossible to, in Attack of the Clones as well. There's the whole entire Battle of Geonosis, which I still think looks fucking spectacular. And that would have also been impossible to do with practical effects. You just couldn't have an army of practically done robots be that size, and or an army of clones be that size without CGI. So I don't think it overuses CGI. I think it might overuse CGI in smaller areas for sure. But I think the CGI is I feel like I'm ranting a lot about the CGI. What I'm trying to say is I think that the prequel trilogy, I think it gets a lot of undeserved shit from the fan base for stuff that's I don't think is really that big of a problem at all.
Yeah.
I will say something about that, Gabe. I remember playing with my little army men and my little Legos and remaking that ship battle. And I don't know, I thought that was pretty fucking realistic, personally.
Yeah.
I realize my opinion's a little biased on that.
Just ever so slightly.
The CGI in the prequels was good for what it was. I never watched Star Wars for the effects. I watch it for the story, right?
Oh, same. Yeah, I was gonna talk about the story eventually.
I do want to. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to jump in on, is just basically try and say the two things that I consider wrong with the prequels, and that is the dialogue, not the story. There's a difference, but the dialogue I think was badly written for a lot of scenes. There were a few that it was better than others, but I look at people they got such good actors in for doing it, and they gave it their all. But I think the writing for the dialogue could have been done a little bit better. And which I don't consider a problem but which most people do, as you were saying, Gabe, was the CGI, because you see people who they complain about it, but it's that movie couldn't have been made. None of the movies could have been made any other way. If you wanted to have those things happen, they needed to happen with that sort of level of CGI. There was really no other way. And you look at movies now, the Marvel movies, they're just saturated in CGI as well. And And so really looking at the prequels, sure, the technology wasn't as advanced back then and it looks a little bit awkward in some places, but like we wouldn't have gotten the same movie if they didn't use CGI in that way. So I look at it like really the only problem I have with it is the dialogue, which I think was badly written in places, but it really doesn't matter to me. Like the movie, the storyline, everything they built, the politics, which people complain about, I have absolutely no issue with, because even standing alone, if you follow the movies, I don't think they're really hard to follow. I don't think any of that is dry. Like personally, watching it, even without putting in anything from the EU, I still think it's not really dry. And then you go and you look at you read some of the EU, and it just makes all of that so vibrant. Like finding out Darth Plagueis was alive up until episode 3, I think it was. I can't remember, but I'm pretty
sure
he was
it's
alive
literally a week before. I'm pretty sure it's about a week before the tragedy of Darth Plagueis that he's killed. Continue. Sorry, that's just extra irony to add onto that cake.
It's true. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that just makes it so good. Like you read some of these books, James Luceno, fantastic author. Most of his books are incredible. And you read these and you just see the layers upon layers of that political stuff, which you can kind of shrug off if you don't like it from the prequels. It's not a big deal. But if you do get into it and realize, oh my God, they're pulling all these strings, the Sith Empire, goes all the way back to Darth Bane. You literally all the way there, and it all pays off in those 3 movies. And that's what I think is so great about them. I think they literally, even more so than the original series, I think those prequels pay off more of the extended universe than the original series does. They created everything and they were wonderful. And they created all the posts, Battle of Yavin stuff. But those prequels, they paid off for so much. And it's fantastic. I love them. I love them to death for that reason.
No, like I said, one of the things I love about it is the connectivity that is brought forth within the prequels. But speaking of connectivity, my dear Dark Lord Horde, what do you have to say about the prequels trilogy?
What is there not to say?
I mean, that they're bad. You probably shouldn't say that. I don't
consider them bad per se. I do acknowledge the fact that I do think that I do think as a kid I really enjoyed the CGI, but now I think because of that nostalgia, that's why I appreciate it a lot. You know what I mean? I appreciate the prequels for giving us the Clone Wars too, because honestly, it's I love the Clone Wars with my life.
Oh yeah, such a good show. Yeah,
not to spin off too hard yet, but yes,
yeah. I especially like the added dichotomies, add to the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Rest my homie Satine. Rest in peace, my homie Satine.
Oh, poor Obi. Oh my God, sadness. Yeah.
A Jedi needs no attachments. A Jedi needs no attachments, gentlemen.
A Jedi needs no attachments.
Jedi entire mantra terrible. We'll get into that when we go into the EU. But
wait, but I don't know, man. The Luke mantra is kind of garbage too when you think about it. It's kind of bad.
The what is? Sorry, or
the Luke mantra, the Luke Jedi mantra or whatever. It's kind of bad.
Kind of, I guess. Oh, in the new series, the actual, the new EU, it's terrible. Luke in the new EU, I mean, he did a good job. Honestly, I never loved Mark Hamill as an actor. That's something I should have said in the about the prequels too. In the prequels. No, sorry.
Yo, Mark Hamill was in the prequels. Yo, that's crazy.
In the original series, I will admit I never loved him as an actor. But I think, you know what? Over the years, as I've seen him, as the Joker in the animated series, and over the years, I think he deserves more credit. He's not like Harrison Ford, right? You watch Harrison Ford in the original series, and you're like, damn. Like, he's so charismatic and like all this. Luke is just kind of, there's something off about his performance, right? Like, I don't want to speak too harshly of him, but I do think like he's not the most fantastic actor. In the new movies, I thought he really was. I thought he did a way better job. Like, I thought he was a really good actor, which is a weird compliment to give to the new movies. I just think everything about them is terrible. But like, yeah, anyways, that's all I had to say going back to the older movies.
Sorry, I'm remembering correctly, right? Harrison Ford played Greedo in the prequels, right?
Yeah, you're 100% on the money there. Greedo.
I would have.
Didn't play anyone else.
Could you imagine if we got to see a young Han Solo in the prequels? Just saying, that'd be kind of dope. Anyways, because he's like a little older than Luke, so seeing like a teenage Han Solo kicking the shit out of young Anakin or something like that, or sorry, reverse that.
He was in the Lego movies.
Was it? Wait, Harrison Ford was?
I'm kidding.
Huh?
Brooke. I almost said prequels.
Prequels.
Yeah, these are now known as the prequels. Brooke, which of the prequels did you star in?
Which what?
I'm leading you in to talk about the prequels.
That's not very good.
You didn't like the prequels?
I am half a growler in.
Wait, no. Wait, Brooke, you didn't like the prequels. This is a good thing if you say yes.
Hold on. No, I did not say that.
Oh, you did? Okay. Sorry. I misinterpreted. I was hoping
I got too much hate. Hold on.
I have devil's advocate on that I will talk about shortly. And I know that's going to be great because that'll make so many people angry. Because nowadays, anyways, go on. Sorry.
Yes, it's my turn. Prequels. Yeah, CGI, not great. The Clone Wars, I mean, like the Attack on the Clones one, especially, awful. Hate that. Hate the clones. They look awful, but that's okay. It's fine.
Okay.
No. Hold on. It's not horrible, but it's just so blatantly in my face. I had the same problem with Tron Legacy when I was rewatching it. Young fucking whatever the fuck his name is, Flynn, awful, hate him. Same thing with the clones, awful, hate them, but they're fine. They work.
Hey,
it's okay.
Dude, come on, man, dude. Attack of the Clones had the best jet. Attack of the Clones introduced the best Jedi ever, Kit Fisto. So
why does everybody?
This has nothing to do with the CGI though. Kit Fisto is fine. He's also practical.
I honestly,
Kit Fisto is a badass. Shut up. If you Kit Fisto,
he was one of the Clone Wars at least.
I gotta be honest. I've always wondered. Okay, and this is a genuine question that I just. Why does everybody really like Kit Fisto? Because I haven't read any
he's fucking hot.
EU. Like,
and awesome.
That's a good reason. You know what? If people just want to get fucked by Kit Fisto, I'm on board.
I don't like, honestly, for me at least, I want to say it's because of the I want to say it's because of the Form 1, because Form 1 is honestly the whole reason why I love Kit Fisto. So
that is fair. And there's probably like EU stuff I haven't read that involve him. That's probably a reason people love him, which is weird that I missed those somehow. But like, yeah, I just haven't read any. Like, I haven't seen anything. I'm just like, oh, he appeared in the movies. It's not like Boba Fett where he's got a rich EU, you know. But it's like Kit Fisto, he's just there, and then I haven't seen him in anything else.
I mean, his name is a euphemism, so if we want to talk about fucking Kit Fisto.
Okay. Oh, I, the fist part. That's the only part of that I can sort of get my mind into a dirty place.
What do you mean? He has such a nice smile. Do you not like his smile?
You're right.
It's a beautiful smile.
I'm mean for bullying Kit Fisto. He's pretty nice. You know what? Now I'm on board. I'm a Kit Fisto.
We won you over.
Oh, I stand Kit Fisto, bro.
Kit Fisto. Yeah. I want to be fistoed by the Fisto. There we go.
But while you boys are busy talking about fisting, Brooke, you were talking about the prequels.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah. The dialogue is pretty awful, but at the same time, I think that works in their favor because it made it so memorable. Like, everyone can quote like a massive chunk of those movies because the dialogue is just, it stands out. So I definitely don't hate the dialogue, even if it's kind of cringy. And I think I think that Anakin, young child boy, got way too much hate because that's just a fucking child. He acts like a child, a very talented kind of cocky child, but that's a child. And I feel like the people around him were unnerved by his behavior because he wasn't the indoctrinated tiny child that they're used to, because they were taken from like baby age and raised in the temple to be
like
super fucking
I know
serious and
there's
shit.
like a canonical reason as to why they take children. So because like it's the whole
Well, Brooke was right. It is for indoctrination. That's like exactly why they take them as really young babies, so that they have
Get rid of your family connections. Get into this fucking.
Yeah, it's mostly for
get into this. This is your routine. This is your family. This is all you will ever know. You're stuck here forever. It's going to be really hard for you to leave because this is all you've ever known. Deal with it. You're one of us now. One of us. One of us.
Yeah.
But I like Anakin. Honest, he's just a child. He's free and he's doing shit and he's a good driver for the plot.
Midi-chlorians than Yoda. Bro.
Also, I did not hate the Midi-chlorians. I thought that made a lot of sense. I love that they didn't really touch on that too much elsewhere. It was just kind of like, here's why they can use the Force, and I was like, neat, cool. Doesn't really matter all that much. It's cool. It's fine.
Darth Revan will probably agree. The EU fixed Midi-chlorians, made them very cool because of Plagueis. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say that although the first one isn't my favorite of the prequels, of course, I do love the final battle scene because it does one of my favorite things, which is split it into 4. I love when there's 4 fights going on at once kind of thing, and it did that, and I was like, that's scrumdiddlyumptious. Thank you.
So good. Yeah.
What's the 4th one?
You got Jar Jar, you got Anakin in space, you got Darth Maul, and you got Padme storming the castle.
Okay.
I know Padme's doing something. I know Anakin's doing something. I know Darth Maul. What the fuck is the 4th one?
It's Jar Jar.
Hold on.
Can I forgot about that? Yeah.
Because he's a bomb-bad general.
He's a bomb. Can I bring something up?
Yes.
Does anyone believe in the Jar Jar theory for prequels or no?
Yes, absolutely. Not only do I believe it, that had that been the reveal at the end of the sequel trilogy, that would have been like 100 times better. Yeah. That's my hot take.
I would have been upset. I wouldn't have liked that. It's too stupid. I think
it's not stupid at all. I think it makes perfect sense. It's a logical explanation for his bizarre ethereal presence in the series. He's this weird.
We got villains like Palpatine and Vader, and then they go and give us fucking Jar Jar Binks? No.
Here's the thing. I think the persona that Jar Jar was putting on, I think that was a ruse. That's my
I do think it was lining up to a ruse, because I do agree that like George Lucas was still trying to follow the whole thing of like, oh, you don't believe this senile old man is like a fucking master of the Force or whatever the fuck, like that part I liked, the duality of it. That was cool.
So the interesting thing about you just spoke about a trope, and I like that you brought that up. You're specifically talking about Yoda being a senile old Force user who surprises us with his mastery, right? And to some extent, we do stick to the trope. In almost every movie, we have a goofy, talking alien that's supposed to represent a kind of funny sidekick other, right? And this is a common trope. You can find it across fucking everything. But Star Wars doesn't often really reuse tropes. You don't see the father reveal again since Vader, really and truthfully, until the sequel trilogy. We can talk about that in its due time. We don't use the senile old alien turns out to be a grandmaster. Jar Jar is just Jar Jar. We don't do the big bad guy was kind of under our noses all along, except in the prequel trilogy. We don't do the hero turns bad in the originals like we did in the prequels. And that's one of the great things I do love about the series as a whole is they know when to use their tropes and when not, which is why I don't mind Jar Jar just being Jar Jar. To some extent, he is just a normal citizen of this weird, fucked up galaxy with all these fucked up things going on, trying to live his goddamn life. and he gets into politics because it pays well and he needs to represent his planet, moves up, gets taken advantage of by an asshole. God, I've been an employee for a long time. I get taken advantage of by asshole bosses a lot. And Jar Jar's not a bad character for that.
Jar Jar manipulation.
My only thing about Jar Jar, the thing is, the type of character he is, I have no problem with. It's the fact that he's not funny. He's supposed to be comedic relief. C-3PO, great comedic relief. He's funny. He's always whining. It's great. Jar Jar, I never laughed at anything he said. He just made me mad. Like, ooh, I stepped into poopy. Woo, it just bothered me.
You know what makes Jar Jar really palatable, though, is just thinking about how much fun his actor had, because I love that man, and I'm so sad that he got so much hate because he had a lot of fucking fun. You just got to think about that man instead of Jar Jar.
Everything about that guy's story is so depressing.
Look, Annie, Misa no Vapad.
That's a crazy good. I'm sorry to tell you, I shouldn't even say that. That was just a very good Jar Jar Binks accent, and you should be ashamed of yourself. All right,
Misa no Vapad.
Everything about Ahmed best. Oh, sorry.
The fun thing that we're doing, everyone, is we're debating a series that is actually fundamentally designed for children. Hence all the toys. And as such, Jar Jar is not for us, guys. Jar Jar isn't for us. Jar Jar is for the little kids who want to funny talk at school because their friends will like it. And Jar Jar is great for that, just like Yoda was back in the day. You can't hate Jar Jar for the slapstick, because that's all children's comedy is slapstick. And they had to have it. You've got to have something for the kids to jump into, right? Even if the lore is deeper, we had to have something for the kids.
Yeah. But like OG SpongeBob, OG Bugs Bunny. We've got these kids shows, and I don't mean like the new SpongeBob, because the new SpongeBob's gotten worse. But when you go back to like seasons 1 and 2, I've occasionally watched an episode of that and just saw it. And I'm like, that's funny still. Like, I loved it as a kid and I love it now. Like, something that has to be made for kids doesn't also have to be just excruciating for adults. Like, it can be both. Granted, it's difficult. Like, it is hard to make a character that appeals to both kids and adults, but it can be done. And like Jar Jar just didn't at all. And I was like 12 or 11 when I first saw that. I didn't like Jar Jar right from the get-go. Like, I still thought he was like, all right, I didn't like him. He was just, he irritated me a great deal. So like, I don't know. I think Jar Jar, granted, I will admit, like, I'm not going to speak any shame on the actor. I didn't actually know anything about how his actor was tormented because of this. And I do feel bad because he shouldn't have been. But I still just didn't like it. Like, it was something that I wish for comedic relief they had something a little bit better.
And this is why Jar Jar is such a divisive point in the series. Right?
No.
You want to know what else is divisive in the series? Sand.
Oh no!
God, the transition. This is the transition into Attack of the Clones. We're talking about sand.
I killed the women and the children.
Yeah, the one thing Anakin, Aang, and the U.S. government have in common, everybody. I'm not going to quote the rest of that meme. If you've seen it, you know.
I don't know that.
No, I don't know.
Don't look it up. Alrighty, so. We've talked about one of the most divisive elements in the series, which is Jar Jar. Dear Jar Jar. But Brooke did bring up Midi-chlorians. Personally, and I'm going to go off Star Wars for a moment and talk about genre as a whole. Midi-chlorians represents an attempt by the series to go into a hard science fiction direction. And though I don't mind them, I don't like them. So the difference between hard sci-fi and soft sci-fi, I'll just do a quick define. Hard sci-fi is where you attempt to define principles that do not exist within our real world within based scientific principles, such as, small bacteria in your DNA that also exist in everything that talk to each other. Whereas soft sci-fi is, it's the Force. We can move things with our mind because we are more attuned to it. We don't try to explain it further than that. And so I do not mind midi-chlorians, but I do hate a cop-out route, which I think midi-chlorians were a bit of a cop-out. They were, people didn't know what the Force was, so let's let's drop a crumb, right?
Yeah.
Let's not explain it, because in our world,
I disagree. I think the Midi-chlorians are.
In our world, if we discover something, we explore the living shit out of it. We beat that dead horse to oblivion. Anything that we can find scientifically, we will beat it to a dead horse. So the fact that we have midi-chlorians, we can count them, they interact with each other, doesn't vibe with me. Humans and sentient species in general are far too curious to let something that important lie.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The context that he explains that though is like he's explaining it to like a kid though. Like he's. I get what you're saying, but it would be a little weird if Anakin was like, how does we use the Force? And Qui-Gon like unpacks his laptop and gives him like the full PowerPoint presentation on like everything that they've learned about
Midi-chlorians and you.
I'm not saying the scene is bad, but the fact that we get a breadcrumb, just a breadcrumb, and I do know the EU did better. I do know. But for a massive movie like that, that always rubbed me so wrong. You're indoctrinating a child into your monkish child soldier religion, and you're not going to explain at least a little bit more in the subsequent scenes where we see Anakin as a Padawan going to training, perhaps in the Jedi Temple. You're not going to explain any more. Really, you've got so many opportunities.
Well, I mean, if it's about indoctrination, then it's like a cult, right? The Jedis they're basically like the crazy cult of space wizards, and if they want like it's like you don't want to. It's like cult tactics 101. You don't want to like explain like that's like what Scientology is. They give like little. I feel weird comparing the Jedi to Scientologists.
No, but that's so true. And that's what I like about like that's when they look at this. Sorry, go on, Gabe. Yeah.
No, it's like just we'll give it. It's like if when you're introduced to Scientology, we'll give you a little bit about the stuff, and then as you move up into Scientology, you learn more. You will gain more knowledge, and I sort of like. Well, I agree. I feel like the Midi-chlorians are a little. They're brushed over. They're definitely brushed over a little bit, and it's not really explored in the movies at all. But I feel like. In the context of like, well, okay, because the whole prequel trilogy is basically about like sort of breaking down everything that we in the original trilogy sort of felt like we understood about the Jedis, but the only perspective that we really had of the Jedis was Obi-Wan's and Yoda's. We didn't really have like this kind of perspective of the Jedi. So I think it was sort of important to like. And it obviously backfired in a lot of ways, and a lot of people were not on board for it. And like a lot of the scenes are like it feels like very brushed over. But I think in the context of what George Lucas was going for with this idea of like that the Jedi were maybe not this mystical force of super duper good guys, but maybe an insane cult full of indoctrinated lunatics who will like basically just they'll bring children into their cult, bring them to the temple. Give them like slap them in the face with a little bit of like, hey, it's this, now fuck off and don't ask again. And like now you have to serve us forever. And it's basically just a I mean, I feel like there's a lot about like that people like the stuff like that where it's problematic, and it feels like it's like it definitely rubs you the way where I think it's almost like intentional. It's almost like the idea of what they're going for is that it's supposed to like you're supposed to watch it and be like, the Jedi seem kind of fucked up, huh?
Yeah, making it less black and white, which I really liked. Like that's the thing I think a bunch of people did from the very get-go. When they first started watching Star Wars, they were just like, well, actually, maybe not, because the original series really was very black and white. Like, you know, there wasn't really anything to look at the Jedi as being bad about. But like, you know, as the story's grown and as like the EU has grown, they've made it so that, yeah, well, you know, the Sith, it's more like basically it's just an analogy for conservatism and liberalism. Like that's what it is. Like it's literally like the Sith are like, oh, passion and, you know, look out for yourself first. don't look out for yourself and your family, people you care about first.
Peace is a lie.
Peace is a lie. Well, and there is the full on terrible, but it shows how power corrupts in the same sense. Or if you look out, it's like somebody who's just a terrible person, but everybody has in their way some good qualities too. So that's where I think it's showing this dichotomy between these two sides, where you've got the Jedi, who are very much this sort of almost strict, what's the term?
Authoritarian.
Authoritarian. And then you've got the Sith, who are overly on the opposite side of the spectrum, and just terrible in the other direction. But you have both of them, and the Jedi are better in a way, but they also do this very sort of terrible stuff. And then as the series progresses, you see them recognize these flaws and realize a more measured approach is required, as Luke ends up realizing, at least in the EU and stuff down the road. And that's where you start to see that, and he starts to augment and change how the Jedi Order works to be better and to be what it actually should be. And then you get the gray knights way down the road and stuff, and everything becomes kind of where it's there's everybody needs to be doing their own thing. But yeah,
Qui-Gon.
No.
Yeah, Qui-Gon's the only gray knight I believe in, bro.
Oh, it's true. Well, that's where you got the Midi-chlorians and stuff. Where my view on that, I'll quickly say what that is, and then I'll stop. But I do think the idea of the Midi-chlorians, I've always been a fan of more it's weird, but when I'm sometimes when I'm thinking about stuff like Star Wars or whatever it might be, I do like to just as a thing that I like to do is think about it well, how does all this work? What is it? So I do like the more hard science aspect when they put it into something like a story like Star Wars. And I think adding the Midi-chlorians was not necessarily a bad decision. I think honestly it was a good one. And leaving it as a breadcrumb I thought was also good, because it didn't make they didn't make the movie about it. I didn't want a movie where the whole movie was oh, this is what a Midi-chlorian is. This is how the Force works. Now they're going to go through everything and explain it all in excruciating detail. I didn't want that. I wanted the action movie, but I like that they planted the crumbs so that it's hey, this is a thing that kind of explains stuff. Now, fantasy writers, George Luceno, all you people, or yeah, that's right. James Luceno, sorry. All you sci-fi Star Wars writers, build on it. Yeah, sorry, build on it, and then it becomes a crazy thing. And yeah, there, I'm done now. My rant.
Yo,
that's something that I really
imagine Inside Out, the movie was in Midi-chlorians.
Oh, it's truly a Star Wars movie. It's this whole time. It's just been explaining that.
What if the whole Star Wars universe is just one Midi-chlorian and the next chosen one or some shit?
Oh, mind break. Broken mind.
But see, that's kind of the problem with using pseudo soft sci-fi, in the fact that, guess what? Now it's just a little too open. But Tilak, what is your opinion on the Midi-chlorians in general? As someone who has so many, apparently.
Oh yeah,
so many.
Of course. Okay, what was the canonical amount they gave to Anakin? 20K? And then only Yoda had
69, dude! Over 10,000! Ah!
Wait, I'm trying. Wait, how many Midi-chlorians?
I actually have no idea.
So canonically, he has
over 20,000.
He has over 20,000, and then Yoda has I'm pretty sure a tenth of that. So, I'm assuming because they introduced that number in the prequels, we were supposed to give a big fuck about it and be oh, okay, so he is a big deal sort of thing. But obviously, it backfired really hard.
It's actually a good.
Insanely hard. I think if I ever bother watching the prequels, it's mostly because, as mentioned before, I only care about Palpatine, but Palpatine's subtle movements within the political scheme, and then B, and I actually do not mind, and I actually find Padme Anakin scenes really nice, especially the ones in Naboo. Like,
oh my god, you're kidding.
Like, I have no problem with it. Like, I do not mind it.
You know what? You're right. Sand is coarse and rough, and it does get everywhere.
But Naboo has flowers, and that's all that matters. Because love.
Oh god.
And I do think it makes like this really nice contrast if you look between Attack of the Clones and then Revenge of the Sith, where like you're surrounded with all these flowers, and then like the arena battle, and then like molten lava where like friendships are burning and like everything's just dying. Like I do think there's a nice contrast between that. I don't know. But and the third thing that like I watch prequels for is that council and their decision making, because honestly, council was pretty fucked. Even though they had a lot of badasses on it, like Mace Windu, we had Yoda, my homie Plo Koon. I forget if that Sentinel guy was part of the council. I don't think he was, but like he was just like a noted member of the council. Or like he was just not
the Sentinel guy.
I forgot his name. He has like
big head.
No,
the guy with the cone head. No.
No. I'm thinking of if you know the backstory of like Ventress and then like what happens with this other Jedi dude. I'm pretty sure he wasn't on the council, but like he's a notable member of the Jedi Society. And then I think once you have like I think the second time that you watch the prequels, you'll get like your brain starts to meld around to like why this is kind of fucked up and why like their arrogance is the Jedi's downfall. Because
interesting,
like their arrogance and like uncertainty is just like, what the hell, Sith haven't been here for like the longest fucking time. There's no way they're Sith, like without even like understanding like the circumstances, or without like batting an eye to the fact that like this guy is trying to push like political powers, and like he's like you're sending your well adulted. I don't know if he's counted as adult. I think he's counted as an adult at episode 3. So he is technically an adult, but like you're sending your adult to spy on this old man when you're like the kind of political body that's like, we believe in peace and like trust,
yes,
and loyalty.
So you bring up a very interesting point about the arrogance of the Jedi Council. One thing I do want to say on the method of the prequels is we're reading into it quite a bit. I never think that George Lucas is nearly as subtle as we all give him credit for, and I know that itself is a sin.
It's just our fan fictions going through our heads.
But that's part of why I do love the prequels, is how much they open up the entire Star Wars universe to interpretation. Because if we see the Jedi Council this way, if we see the Midi-chlorians and stuff this way, then there are people within the trillions and trillions and trillions of life forms within the galaxies that view it this way as well. And that opens things up to stories. And more importantly, to interpretations of the media, which is why Star Wars is such a well-debated topic, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's why, yes, Palpatine is so interesting in his political rise and how he maneuvered. It's why very, very good. I have a very interesting idea about Palpatine, but we can talk about that in future projects.
Palpatine, the biggest cock.
Maybe not after the lightning debacle. I don't know if you've ever been electrocuted, but
true.
Oh, see, like, yeah, we got to talk about who we think is the strongest Sith Lord at some point too. That's a discussion.
Hey, no.
Jar Binks.
Be quiet.
In the prequel trilogies, there was only one main Sith Lord because we follow the rule of 2, and that was Darth Sidious. There were apprentices other than that, so there was only one Darth Lord during the prequels. Speaking of, on the Midi-chlorians count, Brooke, you were the one to initially bring them up, and you said you didn't mind them.
Yes, that's correct. They were fine in quickly explaining why Jedi can manipulate the Force while everyone else can't, even if the Force is everywhere. So I was like, nope, okay, that's fine. And they're not really mentioned again, so I didn't really care that much about their existence, even though I know that seems to be a bother for everyone else, that they were just kind of left in the dust. But for me, it didn't ruin my viewing experience.
May I bring up a question?
Yeah?
So instead of the Midi-chlorians, do you think they should have just brought up more of the Force theories, like how Qui-Gon was talking about the living Force and expanded on that? Because I think, honestly, if they went on that and probably expanded on, like, the living Force, the undying Force, the insidious Force, and, like, all those things, I feel like it would have gone better with, like, the Star Wars fan base as a whole, rather than just being like, yeah, here's this kid, and here's this big-ass number. Okay, he big, strong.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I do. I think that would have been better. Something that has been bothering me for a while is the fact that once someone pointed it out to me, it's all I could see when I was watching the prequels, is there's no driving plot for them to have found the Chosen One. There's no big threat of the Sith coming back, or like a war, or like the downfall of the Republic, or anything like that. But Qui-Gon is so fucking adamant that Anakin is a Chosen One and they need to train him. It's like, what do you need to train him for? Plotline wise, I don't like it because there's no reason for them to be like really pushing for a Chosen One at that point in time in the history of Star Wars universe. Because it's like, there's nothing gonna happen. Sidious comes along eventually, of course, and like I know the whole theory of him influencing the Midi-chlorians and Shmi and shit to make
that was
Anakin.
actually that. Yeah.
Wait, we're talking about Plagueis, or we're talking about
that was a different.
Qui-Gon?
I do want to mention this because that was crazy. There was a canon comic that came out where it showed it was Darth Vader on his castle on Mustafar, where he was trying to basically get back in touch with Padme after she had died. So he builds this portal with the help of this ancient Sith Lord who was trapped inside a mask, and he builds this portal to sort of cross dimensions, and he goes in there. And basically, he sees all these crazy visions, and one of the visions he sees is Sidious standing over his mom, Shmi, with his hand over her stomach, sort of like implying, right, that he was created by Sidious. And then the writer of that comic came out afterwards to say that was just basically the dark side fucking with Anakin. He did not want to imply at all that Sidious created Anakin. So that ended up being kind of a big deal for a while. But anyways, I just wanted to clarify that because I was confused by that for a long time too.
Yeah, that's why I just said theory, because like I'm pretty sure it wasn't canon anyway. But it is something like a lot of people speculate on anyways.
Yeah.
But it's just like, like the baseline of it. I didn't like the whole pushing for the Chosen One thing once it'd been pointed out that they didn't need a Chosen One at that time. I don't mind having a Chosen One storyline, but it needed to be for a reason. So it kind of bothered me.
Hey, when my homie Qui-Gon gonna get a movie, bro? Fuck, let him be the Chosen One.
It's true. Well, and the only reason they had the Chosen One thing too, there wasn't really a reason, but it was just basically a very generic reason. There was, but it wasn't very good. It was just the fact that, there was this ancient prophecy that was written by a Jedi a long, long time ago that said somebody would be fathered by the Force. And so basically Qui-Gon was like, hey, Shmi, who's your husband? Who you get it on with? And Shmi was like, no one. And he was like, fuck.
Oh, word?
Oh, damn.
Word?
He was like, I'm bringing your kid with me. Your kid's mine now. And then that's where everything happened from there on out. But that was like the only explanation they give. There was nothing more to it than that.
I never thought about that. The war with the Separatists hadn't even started at that point in time, right? The Separatists were just hated taxes at that point. They weren't at war, right?
Separatist happened after Qui-Gon's death because, like, it was.
So they literally had no fucking reason at all.
No, like,
I never thought
it was like
it's the negotiations of the Tread Federation over Naboo.
If you look at it, it was a noble cause for the Separatists because, like, they just like, hey, we don't fucking want to just blindly have loyalty to like your big boy with government powers.
Yeah,
and the whole war is fucked up when you start to break down like what it is. It was basically like the Republic was like, you should be a part of the Republic, and the Separatists were like, I kind of don't want to do that.
Why?
Well,
Why?
We're at war now.
It.
We're at war.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to war with you now.
there is more to it than that, because like it was originally.
I'm sure that's a more in-depth explanation, but.
Well,
I only care about Dooku.
Dooku's great, yeah. And honestly, there's been books written about him I haven't read, actually.
Oh, Dooku's fantastic.
He's really good, yeah.
I love that George Lucas was like, I'm going to create the Sith Lord who is. He's not. I'm not even gonna call him like Darth anything. He's just gonna be Count, and I'm gonna have fucking Christopher Lee play fucking Dracula in my Star Wars movie. Like, who thinks of that shit?
He technically has a Darth like name.
Yeah, I know he has a Darth name. I think they say it's Darth Tyrannus. I think they say Darth Tyrannus once in the movie. But he's Count Dooku. He's like,
there's Count Dooku. He's a political idealist who shoots for lightning.
Dracula. He's played by fucking Christopher Lee. What a fucking idea!
He used to be Jedi Master Dooku, which fun fact, he was Qui-Gon's like master. And then after Qui-Gon's death, he was just like, yeah, I don't fucking know how to feel about you guys anymore. I'm a dip out. And then Palpatine's like, hey you, your Padawan just died. Oh, I got a better idea. Be mine.
There's a really interesting. I'm going to see if I can find it because there's a really interesting quote from Count Dooku about Yoda in like one of the books. Okay, I think I found it. It's like the Jedi's orders problem is Yoda. No one being wield that kind of power for centuries without becoming complacent, or at best corrupt at worst, or becoming complacent at best or corrupt at worst. He has no idea that it's overtaken him. He no longer sees all the little cumulative evils that the Republic tolerates and fosters, from slavery to endless wars. He never asks, "What are we do? Why are we not acting to stop this?" Live alongside corruption for too long, and you no longer notice the stench. The Jedi cannot help the slaves of Tatooine, but they can help the slave masters. Like,
wait, what was that quote from? That was great. Yeah,
I have no idea. I just saw it going around, and I read that, and I was like, dude, like Dooku was fucking on it.
Yeah, well, Dooku was a great guy. Like, he was before the Jedi Order. He was one of the first people to have this issue with how the Jedi were behaving, and then he ended up going too far because he was corrupted by Sidious and all that and became kind of a psychopath. But like beyond that, at first his intentions were entirely noble. Like, he was a good guy.
Completely noble.
Yeah.
Is this something that the Clone Wars I don't want to get into Clone Wars just yet because I want to do that later.
About the Clone Wars so bad.
I was gonna say this is something that the Clone Wars touches on like minorly, and I really like it. How like there's Dooku, and then there's General Krell, and then there's I can't remember the girl's name in the last couple episodes. The one behind the temple bombing. I can't remember her name.
Are you talking about Barriss?
Yeah,
I am talking about Barriss. Thank you.
I will always remember Barriss. Just ask me.
I just couldn't remember her name but like it kind of minorly touches on this idea about how like
Star Wars. Can we know what happened to Barriss? Like, can you just make her a fucking like sixth?
She got fucking murked.
Like, make her a sixth sister or some shit, please.
Do you think that Anakin would have let her survive?
No.
Fucking no.
No.
As soon as he was Darth Vader and he saw her becoming an Inquisitor, he would have been like, ha ha ha. No.
Die.
Dead. Yeah.
But I do think
you
it's
made
interesting
my
how like
leave.
It kind of touches on the idea that a lot of that characters like Dooku and Krell and Barriss who were like not like necessarily like evil monsters like how a lot of the Jedi like to believe the Sith are, but characters who were like didn't really believe in the war and believed that the war was like fucked up and the Jedi had become.
You can't mention this shit and not mention Asajj Ventress.
I would also like to mention my homie Sifo Dyas.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Sifo.
Yeah, Asajj Ventress, Sifo Dyas, like all these motherfuckers who were just like hey, the Jedi is kind of fucked. I might like it wasn't like they became evil. It was like and of course, I mean, goes without saying Darth Vader as well. Characters who were just like they not exactly like evil, but they just became disillusioned with like what the idea of the Jedi was and that the Jedi was like and then you had characters like Ahsoka who also had that and didn't turn against the Jedi, but were definitely like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Y'all are whack.
That's where the brilliance of his entire storyline comes into play. Because like even in the movies, you can see kind of his manipulations of Anakin and stuff to just push him beyond the brink. Like there's that disillusionment, and then there's full on psycho terrorist, and that's how he pushed all these. Yeah. And so it's great. Like I love how, and that Ahsoka never had to experience that, which is a nice kind of thing. How she becomes gray, but then you see what happens to everyone else who crosses paths with Sidious, and it's like, oh fuck,
do it.
Yeah, do it.
Well, it was like he played on the idea. It was like he didn't actually have to like plant any seeds, because like these Jedi were basically just, they would see problems with the Jedi just by existing around them. And then all Sidious would do, it's like again, going back to cult tactics. It's like any classic manipulation. It's just like playing on these ideas and doubts that these characters were already having about the doubt about the Sith or about the Jedi. And like,
I just thought of something. Ooh, he didn't plant the seeds. He watered the seeds he knew that were gonna grow into his foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Holy
yeah,
shit.
exactly.
That's so great.
Yeah, exactly. He just looked at like the state of what the Jedi was, and just looked at what it was, and looked at people who were like maybe not so 100% convinced of the Jedi ways, and like he didn't even have to like tell them, hey, do you ever think the Jedi is bad? He was just like, hey, what do you think of the Jedi? They were like, you know what? Now that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Okay. I would also like to shout out one of my favorite moments in Star Wars, and it's that screech when Anakin fucking beheads Dooku.
Oh yeah,
that screech sound.
Yeah. So good. So
I mean, if we're talking about screeching in Episode 3, can we talk about Palpatine's like fucking
force roar,
wildcat sound that he makes as he fucking dives through the air?
And that spawned an entire force power. It's hilarious. That scene spawned a force power that appeared in SWTOR. It appeared in
Force Scream or something?
Force Scream. It was never a thing until that moment. Everyone's like, what the fuck was that? And then they're like, all right, let's just turn it into a force power. And now it is. Fantastic.
If I'm being honest, I never thought he truly made that noise. To me, that was just the speed of the lightsaber spinning in such a way. Because, again, friction-wise, light being held in a bar doesn't make too much sense. So it's spinning at a rapid speed would make a pretty fucked up noise.
Are we talking about when he's falling through the council chambers?
No.
We're talking about when he barrel rolls into like three Jedi Masters and just murders them all, right?
Now that was some show-off shit, however, because there was no way in fuck he needed to do that. That was straight up fear tactics. He's like, look what I can do, guys.
Oh, absolutely.
But someone brought up
everything that Palpatine does in that whole fight is just like unnecessary.
He's always unnecessary, but he's just a drama queen. It's part of the flair.
That's what we love about him.
I want to say one thing too. I hate it when people break down the lightsaber fights in the movies and are like, oh, they could have, like, Dooku could have just slashed Yoda there and killed him. It's like, yeah, it's choreography. It's not supposed to be accurate fighting styles. Lay off of it. It's like literally, don't.
I would like to
slashy slash.
I would like to rebuttal that, because it's because you're it's choreography, yes, but it's exposing one, the lightsaber form, and two, their actual personality in handling situations.
I have an addendum to that. So the lightsaber forms of combat are based on traditional epee and saber fighting, and as such, all the moves you see, besides a couple, are truthfully forms of combat, which is why Christopher Lee's fighting is so interesting, because he is actually trained in those styles of combat, and why you see Dooku's fighting so well. So you say they had openings there? Yes, but the victim also had guards there, and if you ever watch a proper epee or saber fight, you will see some remarkable similarities to where you say they had an opening there, but had they taken that opening, they would have left an opening themselves. And so the lightsaber fights are pretty good.
Does everyone have a spear form?
I do. Surisu, yeah.
I like.
It reminded me, the fact that Liam Neeson always had to be told to calm the fuck down.
Oh yeah, no, dude, Ataru perfectly fits Liam Neeson. I love that.
But he was always told to calm the fuck down because he'd been trained in actual classical sword fighting. They're like, "Can you stop?"
So yeah, well, that was the thing about it that does sort of point it out to me. Like if I saw somebody who was actually classically trained in like fighting with a sword, you know, like an actual skillful like combat fighter like that, it doesn't look nearly like if those skills and those spinning around and dancing around stuff was more like, you know, if it was more effective, it probably would have been done a little bit more. Like there's a lot of wasted movement that was in those scenes to make it look cooler. It took a tremendous amount of skill. Like it took them a lot of skill to be able to do all those acrobatics and to do like sort of that crazy awesome looking saber fighting. But like it's not necessarily the most like accurate thing. Like when I've only because and maybe it is, but I've seen like all these videos on YouTube of like people who are professionally trained in like fencing or in various types of sword combat, like medieval stuff, whatever it might be. And they look at that and they're just like, yeah, none of it makes any sense. It's stupid. And I'm like, no, it's supposed to look cool. It's not supposed to be an effective way to kill someone. That's not what it's supposed. But you're right in the same sense that it has like that sort of attitude about it where each of the forms is it is presented in a specific way. So you have somebody who's very defensive, which is just supposed to sort of show their personality. So like in broad strokes, you can take them that way. But like,
like TLDR, like Kit Fisto was huge on Form 1. Form 1 is all about just like basic movements and like random vicious movements and like it's so unpredictable. Form 2, which is like Makashi, Christopher Lee's, it's very fluid. It's meant for sword to sword fighting. It's not meant for blasters. And then Form 3, which is like for Obi-Wan, it's like it's purely defensive. There's no sense of offense at all, and that perfectly defines Obi-Wan as like he stands as like a person who will constantly defend what the Republic stands for, even if the Jedi aren't like, you know. And then Tar is just like, "Hi, I'm Yoda. I'm an old man, but I could do like fucking backflips and like cut your head off and shit." Yeah. And then like Form 5 is just like whatever at this point, and then the gemstone and shit, you know.
I mean, an interesting point of fact, all and sundry. I have someone who is trained in various types of sword fighting sitting beside me discussing this in the midterm while my mic is muted. And besides the fact that she can't do a backflip, I'm pretty sure she could take most Padawans in sword fighting. And she's reviewing a few of the sword fights right now and says they're mostly accurate. So there is that. Obviously, backflips are kind of force enabled.
Yeah,
but I don't know
like
any
it's
YouTube stars' credentials.
It's force enhanced. So like,
the blade work is all solid. Some of the footwork is a little fancy, but I digress.
Yeah, part of it.
Sorry,
they look amazing. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was gonna say like I don't want to talk about the sequel trilogy just yet. I was gonna like give that one some breathing room, but like I do want to say like people give the prequel trilogy fights a lot of guff,
with no reason. The fuck
for absolutely no reason, but like they give them a lot of guff, and it's they're like it's over choreographed, and then you look at like the fight scenes in the sequel trilogy where they tried to like slow it down and like bring the camera a lot closer to the fight scene and make the action a lot more like punchy, and it looks terrible.
Bro,
so much worse. Oh, like I didn't hate it. I have to be honest. Like some of the fight scenes in the new movies, like visually, I thought they looked okay. They were entertaining.
I did not give two shits about them. I was just like, I don't fucking whatever.
Yeah.
It honestly seemed like time filler at that point. You know what I mean?
There's no sword
is a
form
transition, everybody, and I think we're just gonna take it and roll with it. You said breathing room, Gabe, but I don't believe in nearly such a thing.
Clone Wars.
We want to talk about, well, that's in the spin-offs, and I think we should talk about Clone Wars next after the sequels, because a few of the other things are too new necessarily to digest. I think that'll be a good order point. So the sequel trilogy, they don't exist. Let's move on to the Clone Wars, shall we?
Hey, hold on.
About legends,
I just want to say, wait,
I'm not into legends.
We do have to talk about them.
Wait. I just want to say then fucking first off, that Force Awakens is way too fucking hated. don't.
Force Awakens.
Is Force Awakens the first one, or is it the third one?
Are you talking about like the 6th Legends novel in like the 3rd Thrawn trilogy? I don't know which one you're talking about.
I will punch your throat.
Please do. It would end this misery.
Okay, I'm coming over.
I am the host. I will use my powers if necessary.
Yeah, okay.
You have no power here.
Hold on. Brooke just made up a new force power. It's Force Throat Punch. I think it's a lot more effective than Force Choke. Honestly, a lot more direct. Very more direct. Not nearly as dramatic, true, but pretty fucking effective. Could you imagine diving into a saber battle with Dooku and he just sort of reaches out, does a fake punch, and your throat collapses? Shit's easy.
I just crush any organ, crush your liver, crush your heart. Force choking seems like the most ineffective of all. Yeah, crush your liver. Sure, if you want it to be very painful and slow.
That's just going into the internal organ territory.
I'm going to shit yourself.
Yes, exactly.
So soft sci-fi aside, this so-called sequel trilogy you guys are talking about, what is everyone's votes? You were saying The Force Awakens gets too much hate. Why?
Yes, I actually quite like that one. Listen, that was the first Star Wars movie I ever got to see in theaters. I started fucking crying when the scroll started and the music hit. I was like, fucking, this is my dream. And it was good. And it gave me good vibes. I was just happy. Like, Rey was really pure. Finn was really pure. Poe was really pure. Everything was just so good about it. And I was like, I'm so hyped. And then it went downhill. But Force Awakens was really good.
It had potential. Like, I didn't love it. It had potential. Oh yeah, when they released Force Awakens, like when I saw it in the theaters, I was like, yeah, Star Wars is back. I'm so happy. I was going into it with just exploding with joy. I saw it, I was like, okay, it's a little similar to the other, to A New Hope, but I loved it. It was great. I really liked it. I was super excited. I was like, we're getting more Star Wars. And then it ends, and then we get The Last Jedi, and I start crying. Like, it just literally.
It's also kind of overhated.
Yeah, like I don't even like it anymore. Like I can't even watch The Force Awakens anymore, simply because like it was building up to something, right? Like, it wasn't completed. The story wasn't terminated. Like, it was everybody knew there'd be more movies, so it wasn't like self-contained. It wasn't just one movie that I can watch and enjoy. And so like, if the rest had been better, I would have loved. Sorry.
Okay,
you mentioned the whole thing about how like. Oh, sorry.
I haven't watched the last one. All I care about is like, did they treat Rose better?
No, she's dead.
She's not actually dead. So much
no, she's not actually dead.
Rose
got told, study these
Rose was in the last one for like 5 seconds.
Was she?
Wow. Study these schematics, and that's it. And that's
really.
It's disrespectful.
Bro, I liked her. I actually liked her so much. Her sister, bro. Yo, that scene.
No, it could have been a very, very good, like, she could have been a very great character, but she got ripped off.
She got
Well, I think by the end of this is sort of like something me and Dean did in the main InkGuild. This was way back when we were first starting. We did a whole episode on just the idea, the trope of like the Mary Sue, and we talked about this, and I talked about how like I don't think Rey was a Mary Sue in the first one at all. I don't get the hate, like no, but I think
I can go to rant on that.
I don't even know if I would technically really qualify her as that, but I think, and I don't think the problem is with Rey. I think the problem is with how the screenwriters like treated the other characters. Like by the end of the third film, she's like the only character. Every other character is like fucking shunted off to the side, and like it's like I don't think Rey is a bad character necessarily. I think the fact that every other character gets treated like dog shit by the end of the third movie that's where I have a problem with it. So I liked Finn and Poe a lot. Finn and Poe were great characters, and I thought Rose was cute. Rose was a cute, fun scrappy dude sidekick character in the second movie, and like. I thought they were. She was, exactly. She was smart. She was
well-rounded.
I was not a fan. I was not a fan of the fact that they were setting up a thing between her and Finn, because I wanted Finn and Poe to get together from square fucking one.
Everyone fucking wanted that.
They were cowards.
I'll be honest. I kind of didn't care. Like, if it happened, then it happened. But if it didn't, I didn't care.
They could have also just on the roof. Like, no one fucking falling in love.
It's chemistry, exactly.
They have the most chemistry of any two characters that I've ever seen in any movie. It's like
so good.
It's going too far, but like they had the most chemistry of any couple, like any pair of people in the entire sequel trilogy. Like there was
scene in The Force Awakens when Poe meets up with Finn again. Oh my god, yeah, the lip bite. I feel like he fucked me. Like.
Oh Jesus!
It's fair, but like legitimately, okay. What if they just didn't do any romance at all? Because I feel like the whole problem was that they were trying to ship Rey and Kylo so fucking hard that they got rid of the whole. She can't be related, and it's like she could have been, because they just wanted them to be together. And it's like, how about you don't? And then she was shipped with Finn, and Finn likes her, but then no, and Finn had to be with Rose, but no, and it's like, can you just not have romance? That's fine.
I have like a love and hate relationship with like the second sequel movie. I won't lie. Like there was a lot of things that were really pretty, but there's a lot of other stuff that was just like, wait, what? I'm very lost and confused.
The
like
second movie.
I feel like a hypocrite about The Last Jedi, because every time I talk about it, depending on who I talk to, I always disagree with everyone I talk to, because like there are people who like really love The Last Jedi, and I disagree with them, and there are people who really hate it, and I also disagree with them.
I'll be honest. That's like the most prettiest thing in that movie was that the suicide run into the ship, and like how it made to that like really straight line. What I don't fucking get is the character, like who's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it, and then he's just like, huh? And then like, then you Poe like being like, let me be a hero, and I'm like, yeah, let him be a hero, and then she's like, no, this isn't a time to be a hero, and I'm like, oh. Isn't this what the movie's for?
The thing that let me down most about The Last Jedi was the fact that it basically just felt like I was hoping after the first movie they'd start to take a few more chances. Really make this series new. Like if you read the Legends and you see like the everything that they did after the Yuuzhan Vong, all of that, it gets crazy, it gets new, they take risks, and it's all books granted, but it gets so much better. And then they go to The Last Jedi and it's like
it felt like honestly anime filler. Like
it legitimately. Filler. I don't even remember. Anime filler. It literally felt like I don't remember anything important from that movie. I remember like this. My favorite thing of
here, Dean. You can capture this however you want. Okay. Here's Marcus's TLDR of what happened in the second sequel movie. I don't even remember the fucking name of the movie. That's how bad it is. Okay. Sister does shit. Sister dies. Sister of sister is just like, oh no, my sister's dead. Rey's like, yo, you want to teach me Jedi shit? And then Luke's like, no. Something about like an animal titty. Fucking like children at a casino, like
like what even was that?
Like Poe's being like, let me be a hero. Leia floats in space.
Do you remember
purple hair lady girl tells Poe stop being a hero, and then she tries, and then like
tries to be a hero.
She exactly, she's being a hero. and then fucking Snoke's just cut in half, and then there's there's a scene where like the two were fighting together, like Rey and Kylo, like choreography, dynamic, they look like the perfect pair, ship, and then there's this fucking thing where like there's a base in snow, Luke's there, and then Luke dies because he's projecting himself. But like that takes all he's projecting himself across space, and he's just like, all right, peace out. And then Leia's just like, yeah, he's fucking gone. and then Rey's just like, all right, I'm on my own now. And then like that's it. Also there was a kissing scene, and
there was a kissing scene.
Yeah, there was a kissing scene.
I love that summary, my man. That's fantastic. Yeah. It's fantastic, but I want to remind everyone, and I've remained pointedly silent for a couple reasons. One, that summary contains quite a bit, but we have to remember that second movie took place over a period of less than 24 standard hours. Because if we remember at the beginning,
everything takes place in like 3 days.
At
Does
the
that whole
beginning
trilogy
of
take
the movie,
like 3 days?
not the whole trilogy, but at the beginning
like
of
it's
the
a year.
second movie, it is specifically stated that they only have enough fuel to last like 10 hours or something like that. So that means Rey has time to go get training from Luke, have that whole scene, and come back on a smaller ship that somehow travels faster than the one they're in before their fuel runs out. Poe and Rose,
bro, what do you mean? It's the Falcon, bro. The Falcon fast as fuck.
and Rose have time to travel down to a planet, have their whole adventure, and then get back with basically fucking nothing before that ship runs out of fuel. They do all of this. Before that ship runs out of fuel. That is the most jam-packed fucking 8 hours in Star Wars existence. And I don't give a fuck about light speed. We've seen light speed between planets traveling from anywhere between minutes to days. But there is no way in any good plot you shove that much shit into 8 fucking hours. I will not go silent again until the rest of my
Now I hate this movie even more. Fuck.
Well, I was gonna say it's like
it's Empire Strikes Back, but worse. Like literally everything that happened in Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, I forgot a important detail of that movie. There's some guy who's apparently backstabbing you, and you fucking forget about him 5 minutes after his introduction.
Weird guy and stuff. Yeah, I don't even remember that, but. All I know is like that movie, it literally like, cause the thing is I and this is the thing I had the issue with for the whole, all the sequel movies is like the first one comes out and I was willing to cut it some slack for being so similar to the originals, right? Cause it was, getting it introduced and then there were 2 more movies I was expecting to come out that I thought they'd branch out and do some crazy, amazing shit, throw in some trans-dimensional beings. I don't give a crap. Just do some cool shit that adds to everything. And instead, they go and they basically do nothing memorable at all. Like literally nothing. It's all just copy, like cookie cutter, similar to the original movies, but worse. And like the only thing I will say about them is that I do think the acting was good. Like I think Rey was good. I think Kylo Ren was good. I think like pretty much all the acting. I thought they got some very good actors to do that. But that's the only good thing. That and the CGI are the only good things I have to say.
Yeah, bro. They had really good actors who played dead.
Yeah, like the acting.
At least we get to see some more worlds.
Yeah, and the acting was better in my opinion than even the original series.
And of course, Diane. That's
other
cool.
than Vader and Sidious, of course. But like in the original series, if you talk about the protagonists of like Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford was good, granted. But like there were more good protagonist actors in the new movies than there were in the originals. It's like I thought they did a better job, but it's still just it that does nothing for it when the script is terrible, the story is terrible, everything is about it is terrible except for the CGI. Like it just.
So I was able to catch onto that little bit and just wanted to kind of give a quick comment.
Fuck, you're here.
Fucking Dean.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to give a quick point on like what Leah was talking about when it came to like amazing performances and like great soundtracks and stuff. The thing is, you can pull amazing performances. Like you can have your amazing performances, you can have your gorgeous soundtracks, but if the story is still crap, then what's even the point?
Yeah, like the story's the most important part.
Yeah, it is. Like you can pull it.
Controversial opinion, okay. Like
I'm
the Karate
just saying,
Kid,
like
Jaden Smith's Karate Kid had a garbage soundtrack, but it's still a pretty decent movie.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like really at the heart of it, and for me personally, just amazing stories can really are the weight of a lot of good movies. I think personally, like again, you can have amazing performances, like Daisy Ridley, John Boyega. They're amazing actors that helped carry like the sequels. But just what is it really that they're working with? Though, like you can pull great performances from them, but like if your story is shit, then like what's even the point? Like you're essentially just adding glitter to shit, and I don't know.
Don't talk about my Sunday crafts like that.
I'm sorry. I'm going to fucking explode if I don't say this by now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think we need to go back for a second. I forgot to say that when Force Awakens first came out, I was honestly distraught because, like the rest of you, it seems, I also read Legends. We know about the extended universe. We know about the fucking no longer canon children of Han and Leia and Luke's child with Mara Jade, and the fact that we lost all of that good content. And I need us to speak about that now.
This is exactly my rant and why I have stayed silent, everyone.
I've been like sitting on the edge of my seat, anxious because you've been trying to get a word in edgewise for the 10 minutes.
I just needed to say that because it's been killing me because I read those stories and I loved their children, and then they got rid of the children and switched the name, and I was like, what?
I know. So this is a good transition, everybody, because I think we're all in agreement on a lot of things, and this is also why I've remained mostly silent about the sequels, is because, as I said in the beginning, most of my experience was when initially reading the extended universe. And there is nothing I hate more than a company coming in and stealing a franchise, decanonizing the hard work of a dozen authors and all the experiences of millions of fans that loved what they had done just to create a shit product selling money grab that wants to capitalize on people's nostalgia and kids' love of flashy things. There is nothing I hate more than that.
They uncanon Bane, right? Like everything that Bane did, they were like, nah, that didn't happen, right?
No, Bane is canon. I'm pretty sure. It's like it's stuff like Mara Jade and the and Luke's kids and Han Solo's kids and and Cade Skywalker. Who Leo, I know that you have like a weird thing with Cade Skywalker. So
Cade Skywalker. Oh, Cade, you spice riddled motherfucker. You goddamn. Ab spice. Okay, go on.
Oh, those abs were fantastic, please.
Oh man, yeah. Cade is fantastic. Yeah.
The EU, everybody, is very important to a lot of us, it seems. And that is, I think, one thing we can all agree on about what the sequels did poorly was not using any of it. But in the interest of not being completely negative, because I did just have a negative rant where I
used Thrawn,
literally backtalked Disney, which I will kill that fucking rat with a shotgun if I have to finish this. We should all talk about the parts from the EU that we love instead.
Yes. Everything.
Is this our big Clone Wars transition we've been waiting for, or are we still saving?
Are we doing?
Well, where's this EU?
If I had my way, we would just do an episode entirely on the Clone Wars.
Yeah, we should do that.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, Clone Wars. I mean, we could transition to there, I suppose, next because EU. Oh God, I can't even.
There's so much of it.
There's so much of it,
and it's so good, and it no longer is relevant technically. And it's so
relevant.
Sad.
I refuse to believe it's not relevant.
Actually, you know what? Fuck it. It is because no one likes the sequels that much, anyways.
Exactly.
That's what I was about to say. Like canon is like you can either like say that like you will observe Star Wars, or you can observe Star Wars on your own terms. Really, truly matter that like Disney's like, no, this is the sequel trilogy and this is canon. Like if you want to read the EU and treat that in your brains like that's what I'm going to choose to believe is canon. That's canon, baby.
That's canon, yeah. Exactly. It just makes me sad that we never get to see those people like Mara Jade.
Oh no,
I really fucking wanted Mara Jade so much, so desperately.
It would have ruled if we got like
look of her lightsaber.
And the other fucking Jedi Masters, the Jedi Masters of Luke's new fucking Jedi school. I just wanted that shit, you know, and we got anything.
Like the Yuuzhan Vong seems so cool. Like they could have had so much new, interesting stuff to happen, and instead they went with this.
As long as they don't fucking do the Jen Sarai bullshit, then I'm happy about it.
They could have almost had something good too.
I feel like that would have been. I feel like if they had done the Yuuzhan Vong, it would have been bad shit, and I would have fucking loved it. I'm gonna be totally honest here. I'm not like as much of a I'm not totally into like the extended universe as much as the rest of you guys, but I do know about the Yuuzhan Vong. I do know about Mara Jade. I know about some of the stuff, and I have read like some of the comics. I haven't read any of the books. I'm gonna be totally honest here. I don't like reading. Okay. I hate reading books.
I know books. Yeah, I get it.
But like there's just so much good stuff in there, and they were just like no, I don't want to do that.
Everyone, we're commiserating now. Let us not sit in sorrow about what could have been. Instead, let us blaspheme against Disney by appreciating what should have been. And I will start with one of my favorite little stories that I don't think should have been made into a movie, but is a general thing that I loved about the EU. Because if you remember when the EU started, it started directly after episode 4. It started with knowing nothing about the universe and expanded from there. And the piece of EU that I do cherish to my heart is the Children of the Jedi book. And I know it's not a lot of people's favorites. I love it because to me it represents what a lot of the original EU was, which was kind of like delving into dark parts of the Star Wars universe that we don't get to see in the movies, because the movies are very light and fun for quite a bit of it. But the EU got dark in places, and those of you who have spoken with me before know I do love my dark fantasy and dark sci-fi. And one of the things I loved about Children of the Jedi was Luke's first, I believe, literature love. I believe her name was Callista. She was a Force ghost that inhabited a ship's computer and then possessed.
Was she the one who taught him the Insidious Force, or was that someone else?
No, that was someone else.
Oh, okay.
But she then Force ghosted herself into someone else's body so that she could be with him. And if that's not fucked up, she then later left because of pseudo PTSD from the fact that she was inhabiting someone else's body.
I mean,
and that is an exploration of extension of force power and how fucked up it can truly be that I do love about the EU, because they take a concept and they mature it to its furthest points. And I don't want a movie about that. I want that to remain as it is, but I want that to remain in the universe as an example of what could be with this type of power in this type of universe. And that's my favorite EU.
See, that is very fair. I have to admit, like, a lot of those standalone novels, I very much like them. Like, I know, we got, like, Darth Vader showing off after he gets, I can't remember the name of the amulet, but he gets some of those powers that expanded on what the Force is capable of, like mutating creatures into Rakghouls. That came from a book originally, and that was Vader's power. He was able to, one of his powers, he was able to mutate beings into Rakghouls and stuff. And so it was like, it added a lot. But I know the things that really jumped out for me about the EU was like, you go from Thrawn, which was just a fantastic character and a fantastic storyline that stood up along the storylines of the original movies so well, and from there it just it builds and it builds and it builds into this just absolute like timeline. Like it's a full history, like it's a full series of events that you can just look at and experience, and like you can go through just hundreds of years of like Star Wars lore. I know more about it than I probably do about Canadian history, so it's kind of depressing. Yeah, that's a depressing fact. But like, it just, there's so much that they've done that's so good. And like going back to the Old Republic as well, like I guess I don't know if we'll talk about that after, if we want to stick with right now, just like post episode 6, and go into that. Because like I think my favorite series from that would have to be I'm caught between Fate of the Jedi, which I really liked, because that brought in just so much different, and it was later on, so Luke at that point was very old. It was after Mara had died, it was after like Jason had died, it was after a lot of that had happened, but it was talking about, it brought back the ones from the Clone Wars, like the Force beings that like manifestations of all the different aspects of the Force. And
I'll be honest, I did not like that fucking
you didn't like, or you didn't like the ones, or you didn't like Fate of the Jedi?
I didn't like the ones.
Oh, okay. Fate of the
personally.
Jedi was Fate of the Jedi was 9 novels that for me made the ones good, because basically the main villain of that was this being called Abeloth, and Abeloth was like basically she was terrifying actually. You should look up a picture of Abeloth, or I'll look one up and post it. But she was basically like this force being who was almost, the best way to describe her was the nanny for the ones, and she was like, I'll copy this picture here, copy image, and she was honestly like just she was terrifying. Like everything about her was just absolutely horrifying. She was a completely new sort of aspect to the Star Wars that I'd never seen before, and they added like a character like that into the universe and made one of the best parts was that they had Tarkin's lover, Natasi Dala, who was the now head of state of the Galactic Alliance, but she was kind of a good guy. But they had like this, it got back into like the real nitty gritty of, are the Jedi right or are they wrong? Is the Force supposed to be completely light? Is it supposed to be completely dark? Is it supposed to be a balance? Should there always be good and bad in equal measure, or should everything just be good? And it's like, and it talked about so much of that, and it made the story, and like everything that I had thought previously about Star Wars and all these kind of things that I had questions about, that series kind of resolved and just made it all make sense to me. And I miss it. Like I wish that was the direction they took the new movies as opposed to what they ended up doing.
I do like the mention of the Abeloth. I was wondering if she would come up, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And normally this would be a perfect transition into the Clone Wars and the ones, but I digress. We should talk about the solid post 6 AU and then go into the Clone Wars, I think. So who wants to offer their favorite AEU story next?
I mean, Cade Skywalker, Legends, Darth Krayt. That is my favorite, technically. But
You and goddamn Cade Skywalker. Y'all don't know the goddamn message
all my homies
about Cade Skywalker and
Not
read the
just
goddamn morning.
Cade Skywalker is the most beautiful of all the Skywalkers, and I don't care that you find. Wait a minute. What the heck was that?
What?
Okay, no, I typed in, and the first thing that came up was Cade Cunningham, and I was like, wait, did that say Cade Cunnilingus? And I was like, no, it doesn't. It says Cade Skywalker. Moving, I was wondering about that.
This is not an R34 chat.
What?
PG.
No, I was wondering if,
slip.
I was wondering
what
if
the
there was
fuck?
something
Okay.
I had missed about that. But yeah, no, they're just, it's fantastic. Here, I'll send a picture there too of Cade, because Cade is just too good. The crazy bounty hunter, Star Wars bounty hunter, double barrel blaster, lightsaber wielding, absolute madman. That guy's amazing. Oh my god, he's amazing. It's the best. Honestly, if you guys need to read, if you like comics and if you like graphic novels, the Star Wars Legends series, like I don't even, you get Bantha. Basically, his uncle Bantha Skywalker is just a biker. Like that's what he is. He's a space biker, and he's fantastic. Like the whole story, it's just absolutely amazing. And Cade is just, oh my god, throws it all on its head. And the art style is amazing. Like that, I love how they did those comics. It looks incredible.
Well, now that peak horny hours are over, would anyone else like to share their EU faves?
Horny jail.
Also, he fucked a hut. Sorry, moving on. Her name, and the hut was fantastic too. She's great. I can't remember her name precisely, but she's like an information.
I only know of the great Nemro of the hut. How dare you talk about another hut?
Yeah, here. Okay, go on. While you guys talk, I'm gonna just find a picture of the hut and I'll post it. This is the hut Cade Skywalker fucked.
God damn it, Leo.
How does that even work? You know what? I should ask you many questions because, like, you know what? Huts are huts.
We should move on past hut fucking. I will say.
Oh, here she is.
Since you're speaking, Tulak, am I to assume that he is your favorite EU?
Yes.
You guys have to.
It's a tie between Tulak and then Can you not show me this garbage on my screen?
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I love Tulak words. I don't know, just the premise behind it, the whole mysterious vibe. Obviously, like, I feel like if you're a Darth, you're like two mandatory things. You have to be like slightly evil with slight tragic backstory, and then it's just like really overpowered like bullshit. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's true. Honestly, like the Old Republic stuff, I know we'll have to do like a dive onto that because it's so good. I'm almost more into that than the other stuff. About time you showed up again, Cade. I was beginning to feel lonely and ... neglected. Oh, it's fantastic. Sorry. Okay.
All right, we've gone a little bit back into the Old Republic, which I don't mind. My avatar shows my faith in the Old Republic stories. But Brooke, Gabe, either of you have a favorite EU you want to give a mention to?
When Cade fucks a hut.
I can't.
bad Kane fucked a hut, bro. Yo, okay, I'll read that.
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane fucking a hut. I mean, he probably has too, but like, you know.
Yeah, yo, bad Kane.
I don't want to think about that. I don't want that image in my head. Like
Cad Bane fucks, bro.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
What species is Cad Bane? I've always wondered that.
Zeros.
Blue. Oh, sorry?
Hold on, I'll type it.
Did somebody have a serious answer? I thought, yeah.
Yes, there you go.
Thank you. Yeah, perfect.
As I said earlier, when it comes to the EU, I'm basically a poser. So unfortunately, I don't have anything that immediately comes to mind that isn't either a video game or the Clone Wars or a Clone Wars video game. So sorry, I don't have
all you
anything
need to know is that Cade Skywalker fucked a hut. That's all you need to know.
Cade Skywalker fucked a hut.
I can actually kind of relate to Gabe. I always thought that I had a lot of fucking Star Wars books, but after talking to this group, I realized that I have like no fucking Star Wars books, and it's making me sad.
There's a whole
I own like maybe 30, and you guys seem to own them all.
I find them online and listen to audiobooks and stuff.
I do remember liking Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. I read that once, and that was years ago, so I don't remember that much. But I have reread the Republic Commando series 3 fucking times and been disappointed each time I finished it and been like, where the fuck is the conclusion? Because it still doesn't have a goddamn conclusion.
Oh, see, that's a new. Actually, I never read those.
Oh my god, I love them.
Oh, I got that. You just gave me something to do. I feel bad.
So. You read them all online, eh? Am I the only one who has like 200 Star Wars books stacked in their closet gathering dust?
No, like I said,
I'm very selective with which Star Wars books I get. Like right now I have the whole Bane collection, and then I have the Plagueis one. So anything else is just like, oh, cool.
I have
like
Kindle because I don't like storing physical books, and I have Audible because I like listening to some of them.
So
the only Star Wars book in my possession is the novelization of Star Wars.
You say
The Force Awakens. So
everyone should read the Darth Bane series because it literally is just one of the best. Like it hands down, just one of the most entertaining, the best Star Wars series. Very accessible. Just it's so good. Like it's so.
It's called Darth Bane. You can't go wrong there.
To be honest, you can find it at every fucking thrift store. So that's where I got my Darth Bane.
Oh yeah, and I've read that series probably more times than I can count at this point. Like I just love it so much, and the audiobook version of that is so well done. Like I've read it and I've listened to the audiobook version. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, and the husband is Jewel, by the way, Jewel. Just if anyone was curious.
I don't think we were going to look her up on Tinder anytime soon. But
Pornhub. Jewel on Pornhub. There we go.
No.
Leo, I'm putting this into your nonsense.
That's enough. Do you remember the Clone Wars?
Can I interest you in some death sticks?
Have you seen that video where it's like a what if video about what if Obi-Wan took the death sticks and got a death sticks addiction? What
kind of drugs are death sticks?
It's just for cigarettes. It's literally just cigarettes.
Actually, they can be done.
That's lame.
Literally, they can be done literally any way. Because I have looked this up.
What do you mean?
In one of the canons, and I forget which one, death sticks are a very great utility drug, and they will give you a different high whether you snort it, inject it, smoke it, or eat it.
Okay.
And that is part of the fun. Death sticks are a great utility drug, but I digress.
They're universal.
Now that
want
we've
to sell me
discussed-
death sticks.
Now that we've discussed the EU to some extent and the fire
wait,
hazard
hold on.
that's in my closet, Brooke,
Wait.
I think you should start us off with your favorite parts of the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Wait. There's another. Oh my god, what series was that? What the fuck? You know the series that takes place, like the book series, immediately after the sixth movie?
Heir of the Empire?
Yeah, Heir to the Empire.
Aftermath?
Oh,
I know what you're talking about.
First one, and I haven't read the rest. Is it good? I should ask if somebody's read it.
I'm really sad that we don't get to see Sloan anywhere because great character.
It's actually canon too. Okay, well, if the new, because I honestly, part of me has been hesitant to actually read some of the new canon Star Wars books. I should. If you're saying they're good, I will, because I actually own them too. That's the thing.
Oh my god! Why did you read them then?
Well, because I just didn't feel. I was worried I would read them and then be sad because they were bad.
No, they're good.
Yeah, I'll read them. I will. I mean,
Chewie alone is a good reason to read them, though he's not there that much, but he's there. You know.
Yeah, that's enough. That's all I need.
Honestly, just Chewie, and it's like, yes, finally, fucking good.
Wookiee hugs. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Okay, wait. Question here: Clone Wars?
Yes. Yes.
What about Clone Wars? It's good.
Okay. Okay.
What do you want to say, bro?
What of Clone Wars is good? Oh, let me tell you right now.
Fucking everything. Not everything, but pretty much a
lot. Okay, obviously the clones themselves, the clone personality of the little troops that they introduce to you, they can very humanist, and you actually empathize with them a lot, and you understand their circumstances and stuff. Rest in peace, my homie Satine. Satine.
Night Sisters. Great thing about the Clone Wars. I really like.
They did my boy Maul dirty. Bro.
Honestly, Maul, throughout the whole thing, he's just, you feel so bad for him. And his death scene.
I fucking adore Maul's arc in the Clone Wars. I think it's fucking fantastic.
I think so too. And his death in Rebels was the best moment in Rebels.
I don't like the fact they made him a fucking Night Brother, because that made no sense.
Yeah. Wait, I mean, why? It didn't but.
Oh,
wait, what do you mean?
They changed Maul's story to that he was canonically part of the Night Brothers.
But where else would he been?
He originally was a Night Brother, but what happened was Sidious arrived on the planet, and basically a Night Sister tried to con Sidious into something. This was when he was apprenticed to Plagueis, and Sidious was like, "You don't know who you're dealing with." And then the Night Sister was like, "Oh, fuck, here, take my baby and don't kill me." And Sidious was like, "All right." And he took Maul and then turned him into an assassin. And that was the story. But he was always kind of a Night Brother. It's just he'd been booted out of his he never really met his family. He'd grown up around Sidious the whole time. He'd never really met anyone else.
Wait, did you guys read the Darth Maul book?
We're talking about the one where he hunts down a random Jedi. I forget her name, but I know what you're talking about.
I did. I've read.
What about the one where he's in prison?
Lockdown. Oh, I'm somebody's read. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I've read that one.
And
I love the
Origin and Lockdown. I own them both, and I don't know why.
Oh, the author for that book also wrote all the Star Wars zombie books where they introduced the Blackwing virus.
Oh god! What? Wait, what? What? Star Wars zombies?
Star Wars zombies!
Yeah, you don't know about Star Wars zombies? Come on, man.
I do not know about Star Wars zombies.
There was literally a whole fucking order of clones that are zombies, dude.
Yeah,
you need to get on this shit.
What?
And it was an experiment.
I do need to get on. I do need to get on this shit. I have not read a single Star Wars book.
You need to get on this train. It's wild.
I do need to get on this train.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite EU books too, because it goes way back to the Old Republic. The great thing is the author who wrote Mall Lockdown, he wrote 2 books about the zombies. One that takes place during the Old Republic, during the SWTOR, and one that takes place like 30 years, or like while Vader is alive. I don't know exactly when, probably before A New Hope. I can't remember exactly, but that was the first one he wrote, and it follows basically this prison barge with a bunch of prisoners on it, and they have a mechanical issue, and so they see just a derelict Star Destroyer floating in space, and they're like, what's going on? And so but they decide to stop and try to get in there to fix their ship, and so they dock, and then it turns out to be full of this weird sort of scientific installation that the Empire had been working on, but it got loose, and it was Vader's Project Blackwing, and it was basically this virus that made zombies in the Star Wars universe, but like a hive mind collective kind of zombie. Super gory. The book was fantastic. But then he gave the origin of this Blackwing virus, which was, and it is canon too. The crazy thing is it is currently still canon, because one of the mobile games that Disney released had references to the Blackwing virus, so it's been introduced into the real lore. But it was 5,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, there was this Darth Scabrous, who was basically the head of this academy on this snow planet, and he'd been experimenting on students using this force-sensitive flower orchid that he was using to try to get eternal life, but then accidentally created this zombie virus. It's a very good book. I won't spoil like a ton of it, but if you guys want to read it, it's very good. Very, very good.
Drops like all the back lore. Doesn't want to spoil it.
All that stuff is just like, that tells you what it's about. There's so much more to it. Like they go, it's very good.
Might I say? Okay, go.
Does anyone remember those books for? It's when after Qui-Gon got Obi-Wan, and when they had to battle Qui-Gon's like old apprentice. Like, is that EU too?
Wait, okay, hold on. Are you talking about his old apprentice, or are you talking about?
Like, so Qui-Gon had an apprentice before Kenobi, but then he got Kenobi out of the Acrocorps, and then his first apprentice, like his first Padawan, went fucking Sith shit, and like they had to go fight him, stuff like that. Is that not Is that EU now, or is that still canon?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. Yeah.
That makes me need to ask the question: did anyone read the books where Dooku was an apprentice and had that friend?
No, that's new to me.
Do you know the name of the friend?
No, and the problem is that book is part of one of those weird books where it has like 3 books in one book.
Oh, I see.
So I don't even know what it's called.
Because the only friend I know that Dooku was really close to was 1, his Padawan, which was Qui-Gon, and 2 was Sifo. And then like he was really close with I think Yoda, because he was Yoda's Padawan.
No, yeah, this story was definitely him and another apprentice being friends, but it was like very competitive between them, and he got the other apprentice kicked out of the order.
Oh shit.
That's completely new to me. I've actually never read Dooku's backstory, but I heard about a book that like
that was good, honestly. They did like a whole chase through Coruscant as part of the apprentice training, and I was like, damn, I love this. This shit's good.
Oh, is it Dooku Jedi Lost?
Hold on, I want to go grab my book. I will be right back.
Okay, yeah, sorry, it's not necessary. But it's one that I've been meaning to read, and I know I heard about it, and it's been written fairly recently. It was like a 2019 one, I think, and I was hoping to read it, but I wasn't. I have not gotten around to that one yet.
While we go for source material, I guess we're kind of in the Clone Wars, kind of in the Republic EU, as it were. All kind of around the same vein, I guess. But I will talk on what I like about the entire Republic EU, I will call it, I say. Tentatively Old Republic.
What are you Exporter?
I'm talking about any EU between the Phantom Menace and the Sith Returns.
Oh, nice. Okay,
I'm talking about any EU in there. That includes Clone Wars and stuff like that. And the reason, again, that I love that is the connectivity. And it is, in my opinion, especially the Clone Wars, is some of the best connectivity, because they do pull on all the extended EU, whether it be post 6 or pre 1. They pull on almost all of it, from the ones to Thrawn to mentions of ancient Sith temples and all those sorts of interesting things, which gave Star Wars so much depth. That is why I think the Clone Wars is so good. I don't give too many shits about the clones. I will be perfectly honest, and you can stake me for that. I don't care.
That's a fair opinion. It's either
I just
you have
had
a love
things
or hate.
thrown at me for this. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Very well deserved. Very well deserved. Not my cares. Not my cares. I love world building. I love connectivity, and I love depth. And that's one of the things that the Clone Wars did excel at. Was despite having a war going on, they managed to make it feel deep. They managed to fill out separatists' motives a little bit. They managed to fill out characters and the whole plans of why these different planets are on whose side and the history behind that. And it is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I have to admit, like, the entire Clone Wars series as a whole, I was it was one of those shows that started out feeling like kind of slow. Like, it didn't have a lot of the meaty material that I was hoping for Star Wars, because I've always, and I still am, like, I love Mando for that we were getting a little bit more old person, or like older, like appealing to the older generation of Star Wars fans, if that counts as us, I suppose. But yeah, like Clone Wars, as it went on, we got into some very, very, like, some of the best stories in Star Wars, at least in the film series of Star Wars, were in, I think, those later seasons of Clone Wars. Like, I loved them so much. I loved how they explained Ahsoka. Like, that was one of the biggest things I was kind of concerned about, even from the start, is I was wondering, like, how are they going to kind of, but it's another aspect that adds to the disillusionment that Anakin experienced towards the end of the series. Like, they helped explain that even more, which might have, whining about Padme is one thing, but like adding in this whole other element of his apprentice sort of being in like, framed for a terrible crime, and then, it was perfect. It really did tie everything together so well.
I was gonna say, I mentioned when we were talking about like disillusionment, and I briefly mentioned Krell. It was Pong Krell in the Umbara arc. This is like, I know I disagree. I kind of disagree with you, Tyler, about the clones, but like obviously not enough to like get up in arms about it. But I think the Umbara arc is, honestly, the Umbara arc is kind of like my favorite piece of any Star Wars media. I think, like, okay, I've talked a lot on this podcast about, like, so it's obviously not going to be a surprise that I have like a kind of sort of a hardcore military fetishization complex. So like seeing a bunch of guys in armor go into fucking war is like that shit just like taps into my goddamn, into like the core of my brain. So
True.
I think that that whole arc, it was like, it was kind of like nothing that I had seen in like a cartoon, especially because it was so like it was visually dark, and it was also a story about like fucking mutiny, and like it was the first time that like we had seen like a pre Anakin, of course. It was the first like Jedi that had been shown like going down on the path of darkness, but like not even in the same way that Anakin. Like, Pong Krell was a fucked up dude. Like,
yeah,
and that guy was a fucked up asshole. And like,
all my homies hate Pong Krell.
That whole last episode, like that whole last episode with him charging out of the goddamn building with like the dual welded double lightsabers. Like, look at this fucking guy. I love that, like, they took the species that was like, they took the race that was like in Attack of the Clones. They introduced these guys as like the fat diner guy, and then they took a character in that species and made him like the most fucking menacing villain in the entire goddamn series.
I do think,
like, what a fucking choice. And
like, fucking, they do that to a lot of species, right? So like, like they like for the Trandoshans, like you're just like, oh, it's a Trandoshan, but like in Clone Wars, you're just like, oh shit, it's a Trandoshan, like they're gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Ahsoka's arc with her on that Trandoshan planet was fucking wow.
Oh.
That shit hurt my heart, and I love it.
God damn! Yeah,
oh my God, yeah.
I mean,
unpopular opinion. I kind of wish we had more content of Baby Hutt, but you know what? Or like see what happens to him after. But
oh my God, no! I don't. No one likes that movie. We don't like that movie.
We don't talk about that movie.
I want to see him.
We don't talk about the movie. The movie doesn't count.
When you start Clone Wars, Clone Wars starts at the Mandalore, but the Mandalore uprising. That's where Clone Wars starts. It does not start anytime before.
There were two movies I absolutely
I want to know what happened to the kid, bro. Come on.
There were two movies I absolutely hated as a kid. That was one of them, and the other one was the Cars movies. I don't know why, but the anthropomorphic cars upset me. That birthday
this is Star Wars related. I'm not going to get angry about that. Why?
The year when that movie, the Star Wars, like the Clone Wars movie came out, for my birthday, I got 3 copies of that Star Wars Clone Wars movie, and I got 4 copies of Cars. And I was very sad about that. I just
got 4 copies of Cars?
Yeah, I got 4 copies of Cars. I don't think I probably still have 1 or 2 of them kicking around at my dad's house. But yeah, like, I mean, I just didn't know what the odds of that were. Like, that was that was statistically like crazy, honestly, that they all were like, I bet he'd really like Cars and a copy of the Clone Wars movie. And no to both.
On moving back to Star Wars, I should say. Interesting enough, we talked about Hutts. Just a side anecdote: in the late EU, there is a Hutt that is a Jedi, and it's terrifying. The description.
Oh my God!
Hold on, everybody.
There was a Sand Raider Jedi, and like,
who is the Hutt? I've never heard of that.
He is named, but he is not a part of the actual Hutt Empire. He is a solo, and it is described as...
Whoa! Did you just say fucking solo?
Stop. No, a solo character.
Okay, Jesus Christ.
Not part of this family name, no. And it is defined as most Hutts living in the criminal Hutt empires get fat upon their gorging and upon their money. This one did not live that life. It lived a very hard life, and it was just a worm of raw muscle. Tail to front.
My God.
And it writhed and could move so fast, because that form is actually very powerful, because that's the same form as a fucking snake, which can constrict someone to death. And it also had a lightsaber, which it has adapted to form combat around its body without cutting itself. And Luke got his ass kicked.
Well, that's what I was just... Where does he show... Because I've heard about him before on YouTube videos, but I have never been able to find where he actually appears in comics or
remember
books.
The book name. Give me half a second. But that's my random EU fact. Back to the Clone Wars.
Was it a book or a comic, though? That's, I guess, the only...
It was definitely a book. I don't read comics.
Good. I will try and find it then. Yes.
I did not mind the Savage Press arc, to be honest. I think the whole thing with Ventress going back and forth was kind of tedious. What else? They nerfed the fuck out of the Jedi Council. Like, each Jedi Council member was getting slain left and right, and I did not like that. But whatever.
Yeah.
Like they nerfed the fuck out of the Jedi Council.
I guess it's... I have to admit, like, it's weird to say this, but like Gabe, I know you might not be as up to date on your EU knowledge, but I'm not as up to date on like a lot of the Clone Wars stuff, because some of it, I will admit, I've watched it all, but it kind of just
it mends together, right?
Yeah, like the later seasons, like I remember pretty clearly, like with oh god, what's the name? Umbara and stuff. Like I remember a lot of that. But like in the earlier seasons, a lot of it is just kind of it's a gray area for me. Because like that's the thing about Clone Wars I really liked as they went on is we got a lot less filler episodes too. Because like earlier, I've never liked filler episodes. Filler episodes always annoy the heck out of me. It's like I don't need this. But yeah, the later seasons were
droid cleaning.
Yeah.
What else?
The droid spa, fucking.
I do like the droid sympathy. Like they do add some sympathy to the droids. Just like, oh, we're just fucking droids. We just do over.
Oh my god! Wait, does everyone fucking remember when Jar Jar got a goddamn girlfriend?
I do remember that. I was hoping just not talk about Jar Jar Binks.
God damn!
Yeah, don't remind me. Don't remind me of that.
He was a sexy motherfucker.
Gabe. I just have one thing to say, Gabe. Picture
What's up?
Okay, don't picture Jar Jar splooge face, Gabe. Just don't picture that. Okay, Jar Jar. You know that like his contortions of his face, maybe his tongue sticking out a little bit. Just don't picture that, Gabe. Okay.
Too late.
Why would you do this?
Question for everyone related to that note, because I've seen it in a meme. Would you rather look like Jar Jar or talk like Jar Jar? And no, you cannot kill yourself.
Do I
be athletic as Jar Jar?
No. Question. Do I get a translator droid?
No.
What?
Oh, okay. If I got the translator droid for free, then yeah, hell yeah. Like free droid, free labor, hell yeah. Like, fuck.
I mean, I wouldn't mind being a Gungan.
I hate to say it, his tongue. Like, I mean, you can do some real work with that, and like. Would you also have his physical ability to like jump on top of a roof or something? Like that guy's athletic. Like say what you will.
He jumped high.
He jumped really high.
He jumped high.
I mean, I'm not gonna say. Listen. I don't think Jar Jar necessarily looks bad. I mean, like maybe. I mean, like he kind of does, but like the Gungans aren't like terrible. They got that one dude, Roose Tarples. Fucking looks cool as shit. Also, on the topic of Roose Tarples, I was gonna say I was talking with a friend about this earlier. About yesterday, we were talking about Revenge of the Sith. How like there's like really small shit in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith that like it has like implications, and Dave Filoni had to like fucking bend over backwards to fit into that. Like in at the start of Revenge of the Sith, like General Grievous and Anakin talk to each other as if they're meeting for the first time. And so for the next 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, Dave Filoni has to like fucking do acrobatic narrative acrobats to like make sure that Anakin and General Grievous never interact once in the entire series.
Seriously,
thank you for bringing that up.
Oh my god!
It's so fucking funny.
It's like the one. Whoa! Wait, hold on. That just makes me think of the one fucking episode where he's literally on the goddamn ship with Grievous, and he's the one who helps. I think it's Luminara Unduli or someone off the ship. He's like, "You go and fight Grievous, and I'll help this person off the ship." It's like that's so un-Anakin-like, but they had to do it.
They had to do it because
he had to be the one helping because he can't face Grievous right now.
Hey,
it's so funny. It's so fucking funny, and then you got, and there's like all these characters that like show up in like one scene in the background of Revenge of the Sith, so you can't do much with that. And then you got Roose Tarples, who's the Gungan leader who doesn't show up after Attack of the Clones or after Phantom Menace. So Dave Filoni fucking killed him because it's the only character that he can kill.
The fact that I never noticed that speaks volumes about how well they managed to do that. Because I had no, like, now that you mention it, it's crazy. It like feels like a kick to the side of the head. But like I had no idea. I'd never even recognized that was a thing until you just mentioned it.
I can't think of a ton of examples. Well, there's like a lot of that in like Obi-Wan is like talking to Anakin, all that stuff about how there's all these times when when you fucking saved my ass, but not this time. This time doesn't count. It's a Dave Filoni that is has like fucking aphasia because he has to fit all of this like really tiny offhand said shit that's said in the Revenge of the Sith, make it fucking work as a plot line.
I'm very sorry. Hold on. I'm very sorry to do this, but I just want you all to know that we are pushing the limit of this podcast, so we may need to wrap it up quickly.
That is very fair.
We might
have to. All right,
quick shout out to Shock T, because honestly, I did not want to see her die like that. I'm kind of glad they didn't fucking do that to her in the movie.
I mean, you say that, but which death is canon?
They deleted that scene. It's not canon.
No, wait.
They deleted both of her deaths in that movie. She dies twice in Revenge of the Sith.
Isn't it canon in the game that she just jumps down a fucking hole?
No. That's the Star Killer shit. That's not real. Star Killer ain't real.
Is that not? Because they deleted the scene where she gets killed by Grievous, so that's not canon anymore. So she can still jump down the hole.
She gets killed by Grievous. They deleted the scene where she gets killed by Anakin, and they retcon Force Awakens so she doesn't jump down a hole. Shakti is like Schrodinger's Jedi. She's just always dead, but you never know how it's canon.
That's a good question though. Like I can't even remember. But like if Force Unleashed, like is it canon or is it not canon?
No.
Force Awakens is not canon.
It's not.
Damn
canon.
it. Okay.
Star Killer.
I don't believe Force
broken.
Awakens was ever canon.
Or Force Unleashed.
It was,
Force. I don't believe Force Unleashed is.
The fucking movie's not canon.
I don't think Force Unleashed was ever like in canon because there's a lot of shit that happens in
oh my god.
I mean,
doesn't make any sense with the canon. So like I think the idea was that it was always like an alternate universe of Star Wars where instead of like all the other shit happening, because like I mean by the end of Force Awakens 2, like Force Awakens 2 is like by the end of that game it's just different. It just doesn't make any fucking sense with like how the plot would play out. So I don't think it was ever supposed to be canon.
That's true. Like I wish Force Awakens 1 was, because how it originally ended, like if it was the like good ending, quote unquote good ending, then which I think would have been the canon ending, it would have fit so well. Like, you know, I really and the gameplay was so fun. That was one of my favorite games of all time for a while, and I'm sad.
But like I think for him to have the capability to be like
beat Sidious,
to defeat Sidious, to defeat Vader,
like
especially with the whole Midi-chlorian thing, like it would just make it a big shit show, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. The more I think about it, you're right. Because it's like I love the game so much, just from a standpoint of like, you felt so, and not the remastered. Like the remastered version of that game was so much worse, but the original one on the PS2 and like the Wii, that was so much fun. I miss that game. I still I wish I could get my PS2 running again, because I literally years later bought that game solely for the purpose of, I bought a PS2 just to play that game. Like it's the only one I had, and it cost me so much to just get a copy of the game for the PS2. But yeah, it was good.
I remember Force Unleashed on the Wii was like the first Star Wars game I ever played, and I just remember being a fucking lunatic with the Wiimote, just breaking shit all around. You didn't
play Star Wars Lego?
I did.
Oh no, I played Star Wars Lego. Star Wars Lego.
That is literally the only Star Wars game I've ever played has been Star Wars Lego, because I have that on the DSi and the Wii.
Star Wars Lego is,
and that's it.
As far as I'm concerned, Lego Star Wars is like I have to mentally consider it like a separate thing, because like when I said earlier that the Umbara arc is my favorite piece of Star Wars media, that's what I assumed the obvious consideration. Lego Star Wars is like that's the peak. The series peaked there. We're never going to get back to any point.
I was gone for like 3 minutes.
They
How
still
are we on
haven't
video
released it.
games?
No, they're still making it.
That's a good point. I think we just started talking about Force Unleashed.
Whoa, hold on. That just made me fucking remember that. You know how they always have those levels in the Lego Star Wars where you're like flying around in like your X-wing or whatever, and you're shooting shit on the ships. When fucking Force Awakens came out, the entire time I was in the movie theater, I was like, damn, they really set this up to be a fucking Lego Star Wars game, because the entire time I was imagining the goddamn fucking levels on the game.
Yeah.
Because it was set up so perfectly for the flight parts of the game. So perfectly. Like the whole escaping the ship, escaping the ship part, right? Where they're shooting all the fucking turrets before they go onto the planet. And then the whole like actual Star Killer base part where he's like shooting all the things inside the actual oscillator. I was like, what the fuck? They literally set this up to be a video game.
I never played Lego Force Awakens. I mean, I'm a hot take Lego. I think they're better with like the grunting and the wheezing than like actual voice dialogue.
Oh my god!
I agree with that. Yeah.
Hey,
oh my
hey,
god.
I had the OG like Indiana Jones shit, bro. That shit was mad fire.
Oh, Lego.
Yeah.
Now Lego video game podcast episode. We're done talking about Star Wars.
True. Yes,
we're now going to talk about Lego.
Okay. I didn't even realize voiceovers, to be perfectly honest. That's news to me. I did not know that the Lego games ever became voiced.
Okay. Real question. Would you rather talk like a sim or a Lego video games character?
Oh, Lego video games character. Absolutely. Just forever just going like, huh.
I'd go for sim, man.
A lot of information.
Dabba.
Sims fuck all the time. Have you ever seen a Lego character fuck?
You make a good point, but at the same breath, though, how would you intimidate somebody using sim language?
Whoa.
You know,
why are we fucking talking about Sims right now? Hold on, back up.
Where the
fuck are we going right now?
Three topics.
We haven't even fucking talked about the train wreck that is Han Solo movie or the masterpiece that is Rogue One.
I've never.
We need to talk about those at least briefly, please.
We should.
Briefly, okay.
Let's get back on
right now.
Talk about Rogue One.
Let's go.
Right, should we start with Rogue One or Solo?
Yes, we're going with Rogue One. Let's go.
Okay, Rogue One. Okay. Rogue One is fucking sick. I listen. I know that the sequel trilogy and the Disney movies garbage. Rogue One's fucking sweet. Rogue One's a fucking sweet movie. Like
it really is.
And like, it's one of those movies that I watch and I'm like, this could be a Star Wars movie if this had nothing to do with Star Wars. It's a good, fun action movie. It's got really, like, one of the things that I really liked about Rogue One was that like, the character writing was probably the best that Disney has done with the new Star Wars movies. Because like one of the things that I really wasn't happy with like the sequel trilogy was how like unmemorable a lot of the characters were. And with Rogue One, they were like, okay, these characters are going to be they're going to be one and done. They're going to show up in this movie. They're all going to die. So we have to get like we have to suck all the memorability out of them. And like from one standpoint, from the more film critical standpoint, you could say that like they don't really have none of them have like huge arcs. And like they're not like the most fleshed out, but I actually like that. I think it's awesome that they're kind of like these heist movie caricatures, and like that the movie kind of really plays up like very specific aspects about each character and makes them. I don't know. Yeah, I fucking adore that movie.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah. Because I've had trouble trying to describe what it is I like so much about Rogue One. Because like it's a good, solid movie in general, but it is really that. Like, you know, and if you paint the characters as like they are what they are. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, and they didn't like. There was no. It didn't feel like there was anything in that movie that nothing upset me. Which, to be fair, might not be a high bar, but like compared to the other Star Wars movies, that's a pretty high bar. And like, yeah, it was just good. It was a really solid movie. I really liked it. I thought in general, it was just entertaining. And I love that it was just about like a single flaw from the original movie, and they're like, let's make a whole movie to fix it. And
it's like a fan complaint for years. It was like the people were like, this thing is stupid, and it's almost like out of spite. They're like, we're gonna make an entire movie to explain this thing.
I won't lie. As much as I love the movie, Jyn Erso's character had a little bit lacking in like character motivation. But I still really loved the movie, and I still cried when everyone died. And I was so blurry with tears that it was hard for me to appreciate Darth Vader when I was seeing it in theater for the first time. Because I was like so blurry that I could hardly see him. I was like, holy shit, it's Darth Vader. And it was amazing.
So good.
I will say Rogue One is sort of like indicative of a trend that I've found with like Disney's new stuff, where it's like I don't want to go into Mandalorian just yet, but I just want to touch on like this and Mandalorian. Like the Solo movie is garbage, but Rogue One and Mandalorian, I feel like whenever Disney is doing Star Wars and they do something that is like just completely new, just completely invented, and it only is only tangentially related to like the main timeline, it's good. It's good shit.
Yeah.
Where it seems like they fuck up is when they try to like tap into like the original trilogy or tap into like really established stuff. That's where it's like where they seem to. What's up, Tyler? Sorry.
I agree with that statement. I would agree with that, especially because we have to think once again in sort of terms of the EU. Han Solo's story is fully established within the EU, and the Solo story does not touch on any of it, whereas Rogue One really isn't. It's not a subject a lot of people wrote on, and so they had a lot of creative room and did well. Similarly with The Mandalorian, if I remember correctly, and don't fully quote me on this, LucasArts and George Lucas himself had the idea for The Mandalorian since Boba Fett. But the technology wasn't up at the time, and they didn't think a TV series would work back when Star Wars was starting out. And as such, he has kept Mandalorian content in the EU down under wraps because he had this idea for it. So if we're talking in terms of The Mandalorian specifically, The Mandalorian is to some extent truthfully original Star Wars content from the mind of the creator. It's just been on the back burner for years. And I'm sure there's tons more of that out there that George Lucas and other writers have had. And if we see spin-offs like that, I might give Disney a little bit of money. I'm not going to give them any less shotgun shells, but I'm going to give them a little more money.
Well, one thing I think has contributed to the better, like why Rogue One is, well, maybe not Rogue One, but Mando and stuff was so good was, I think, now putting like Dave Filoni in charge of it, you're putting a fan in charge of these movies. You're not getting somebody who doesn't really care about Star Wars, who's just maybe a good director, sure, but like they're like Dave Filoni, he's like a true fan. He's read all the EU. He's somebody who doesn't want Star Wars to be bad. He's not just trying to make something to be like, okay, let's get this out there. He's actually trying to make something that he will love, and I think that really has contributed to how good both the Clone Wars and Mando has been. I don't know. I don't think he was involved with Rogue One, was he? Or
he wasn't involved with Rogue One, but
okay. Yeah. But still, like, I mean, again, other people can do a good job too. But like, I think that's the thing about Dave Filoni. Like, I think for him, like, I'm very excited to see everything he does with Star Wars from here on out.
Have you seen that Taika Waititi? Wait, what is his name? Is it Taika
Waititi?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he's doing something.
He's doing something.
Wait, do we even know what he's doing? Is that he's doing a Star Wars movie?
He's doing a Star Wars movie. That's basically all that he said. He's doing a Star Wars movie.
Hold on. When is the fucking Squadrons movie coming out? That's by the same woman who's doing Wonder Woman, right?
The what movie?
Squadrons? Right? Is that the person who's doing?
I don't know if there's a movie.
I have no idea.
Yeah, there was like a Rangers of the Republic or something. Like there was a.
Well, there's that, and then there's Rogue Squadron. There's those are both series that are happening. I don't know which one applies to which end of the canon. I'm assuming Rangers of the Republic applies. That's post Return of the Jedi, but
yeah, I could have sworn it is Squadron.
Old Republic Sith TV show getting made too. I can't remember who's directing that, but I know she's good. I know she's a fan, which makes me.
I know Keanu Reeves is in that.
Wait, sorry, what the fuck?
He's playing a Sith King, but he's gonna be in an animated version first. So he's being in like an animated. Yeah, you hear Sith King and you think like Revan. It's gotta be Keanu Reeves in a Star Wars movie. Gotta be Revan. But I don't think it is. He's playing a Sith King. That's all they've said. He's gonna be in an animated movie or TV show or something first, and then it's gonna transition to live action. It's very weird. But like he's gonna be doing the voice, and then eventually he'll be in person. But like it's strange. I don't know what's going on there at all, really, but I'm pretty excited for it. And I don't think it's Acolyte. It might be, but I'm not entirely sure if it is. That is the Sith show though that is coming out, and that's being directed by
And I looked it up. Brooke, you were right. It is Rogue Squadron is a movie, and Patty Jenkins is directing it. So that's
thank you, Jesus.
That's
going crazy.
That's the next movie that's coming out. And Taika Waititi, I found out. I was looking up details. It says Taika Waititi has like revealed details about it. That's what the headline says. He hasn't. He's revealed that he's definitely making a Star Wars movie. There's literally no information on like when or where it would be set on the timeline or what it would be about. Nothing in that vein. It's just all it's speculation on our part at this point.
And this isn't everything either. On the picture there, I don't think that's at least everything.
It's not. This was just the first one I found.
Oh no, I think that's all that's been like confirmed too. I think that is everything that we know about. Like secret projects. Sorry.
All I care about is Kenobi at this point.
Oh, I can't! Oh my god,
that's gonna be amazing.
Can I have Kenobi? Can I have my Kenobi and Satine moment, please? Like, fuck.
Satine's dead.
No.
Watch them decanonize it because it's too not PG.
No, watch him fall in love with a woman who looks exactly like Satine and acts like pretty much the same thing. She's just poor. Like
her name is.
I'm really curious what it's going to be about because her name's
Platine.
Her name's Platine.
Pauline Satine. There we go.
We're talking about future projects.
I don't care about a Lando thing. Not gonna lie.
Oh no.
I mean, I think it could be good. Like, I mean, Lando was very cool in the EU. Like after they like he was great in Empire, of course. But like he also got he was better in like the old EU. I think if they try to incorporate some of that, like I mean, in the old EU, he ends up being like a pinnacle part for fighting the Yuuzhan Vong because he designs those YVH. Well, no, he doesn't design them, but he funds the design of those YVH droids that are basically Terminators, and they're made out of like cortosis, and they go and they're able to take on a Yuuzhan Vong. So that he made all these droids, and he was a very cool character in like the old EU. But now he's just kind of I don't know.
If any trends and patterns Disney's Star Wars has shown me anything is that like if Disney's going to try and replace like EU stuff, it's not going to pan out. So I'm not super stoked. What I am super stoked for, because I have no idea if any of it's even going to be canon or not. So I'm very excited just to see like what is Star Wars Visions. I'm stoked as fuck for Star Wars Visions.
God, I am
great.
so
I kind of
pumped.
forgot about that.
Well, I was confused. Gabe explained to me, like Gabe was trying to explain to me. I was like, it's gonna suck because I watched the trailer and I saw the rabbit person. I was like, God damn it, there's a rabbit person? Why? And I got all upset and because I'm not a huge anime fan, if I'm being totally honest. There's a few I like Cowboy Bebop and like Ghost in the Shell, a few, but like the vast majority of anime isn't my thing. And so I saw this, like, I did not and Gabe was like, it's an anthology. And I'm like, I hate it. And then he said, it's an anthology again. And then I was like, and then finally it clicked. It took a few times. Oh, that's right. That's what an anthology is.
This is key.
Has varying different types of shows with different animators, different all that. So I'm actually super excited for Visions. Like I'm super excited for Vision.
Like, hey, like every time they I keep saying they. This is I don't know. This is like a weird trend in, but I love every time they do like a big Western franchise is like hey, there are a bunch of like really talented artists and animators over in Japan. What if we like gave a bunch of them carte blanche to make like really badass short films and then put that all into an anthology? Like I just the Matrix did that, Halo did that, and now I'm sure someone else has done it in between because it has to be like a weird trend. But like now Star Wars is doing it, and they've contacted a bunch of like really talented like artists and like very amazing studios. Like they got Studio Trigger doing one. Like Studio Trigger is like my heart and soul as far as anime is concerned. They've made like just some of my favorite shit ever, and they're from the stills I've seen. They're the Trigger short film in Visions or the Trigger episode. I don't know how they're going to do it. Is it going to be a short episode? I don't know. Who fucking knows? But like, it looks fucking spectacular, and like, I'm really stoked for that shit.
Yeah, was that the black and white one? No,
that's like that's gonna be the samurai one, which I'm also stoked for.
I'm super excited.
The Jedi samurais, but the Trigger is like very colorful, and they're very like it's. I'll send a picture of it. They're like this. They're like I don't know how quickly this picture is gonna send, and also I should make reference to the fact that we're in a DM check, so it's not gonna make the episode. But it's.
So good.
Yeah. I think it looks really cool. I think
it does. Oh, yeah.
I'm so stoked for that one.
So are both of them using lightning? Why is one of the lightnings red? Why don't they look like lightning?
I think that's just like a cover art thing.
I think they are both. I think they're both using lightning, but it's
Electric
super
Judgment.
duper stylized.
Yeah.
Hey, yo,
extremely stylized.
Bro, when am I gonna see Emerald Lightning? Come on.
Like these are this is the same team that made like fucking Gurren Lagann.
Yeah,
so
where's my
they're
Green Lightning gang?
Yeah, where's my Green Lightning gang? Bro? Yo, where's my Two Minutes gang?
But while we're discussing future projects, I want to delve in a little something. What was that?
Fallen Order.
What's that?
I don't know. I think he might have been saying Fallen Order.
Fallen Order.
What's happening? What the fuck?
Going to talk
Apparently
about
Fallen Order.
Speculation on video games. Yes.
Fallen Order.
Because video games are a very large part of this franchise ever since the very first X-Wing game, and I have played. Dark Forces up to Fallen Order. Obviously, my favorite, if given my avatars anything, is the Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic 2 was okay. Yeah. And Star Wars The Old Republic MMO is a bit of a pay-to-win trash fire, but I digress.
The story is very good, though.
The story is very interesting, and it captures
I stopped paying attention. I stopped paying attention after we're just like, oh yeah, this shit fucking repartied his body.
Yeah, it's time to grind again. Got to get them levels, boys. Anyways, not a talk on the video game industry today.
Yeah,
but Fallen Order and SWTOR are kind of two sides of a greater video game spectrum. In that Fallen Order is obviously a very guided, linear experience with minimal choices to some extent and a very set ending, whereas SWTOR and KOTOR before that are extremely open-ended RPGs where your choices do have greater effects on the story, even if not necessarily on the ending. And I think both of those can capture what Star Wars does well. And since we have had Fallen Order and things like Star Wars Squadrons and the Battlefronts, which are very linear games, personally, I really want another good RPG. And I think there's some in the works. Yes. But I worry with the common trend in RPGs today that it's going to be a little flat. Especially if made by
Ubisoft, so like
probably very flat.
Red flag.
Choice is going to be surface deep, and even though KOTOR had its problems, like the fact that you were kind of forced into light or dark side early on and couldn't really switch or anything like that. One of the beauties of the Star Wars games that had these RPG elements was the agency to decide which side you vibed with most to some extent. Do you just want to be a badass Sith? Do you want to be a good guy? Do you want to be somewhere in between? Which characters do you want to help? Because you can't save everybody. And that was something that, pardon?
Vibe check?
As someone whose avatar is once again Revan, who you can play either way in both games. Vibe check is whatever I feel like at the moment. If I feel like killing the younglings one day, I fucking will. But those sorts of games also offer multiple playthroughs to tell multiple stories, which again is something I love about Star Wars, is the variance of stories.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to get our hype train going a little bit for that open world Star Wars, because I know Ubisoft doesn't have the best track record, but the story behind how they got the project does make me a little bit excited. I'm still hesitant. I still think I'm still not going to just go all in, but apparently how they got it was it was them who approached Disney to ask to do this, and how they did it was they're working on that Avatar game. Like not and they're working on that, and apparently they went to Disney's executives or whatever, and they were like, Avatar game, can we make a Star Wars game? And they were like, we don't know. And then they saw what they had so far for the Avatar game, and they were like 100% yes. So if the Avatar game ends up being really, really good, then I think we have reason to be super, super excited for the Star Wars one. But if it ends up being
rebuttal.
Yes.
They took their concept to a couple of greedy fucking Disney execs who saw a money-making scheme and were like, hell yeah, we'll commission that. Nah, I'm sorry. I got no fucking hype in this regard. I got hope, but I ain't got hype.
Yeah, to be fair, it was like the
Honestly,
LucasArts.
I feel like sorry.
Go for it. Sorry, yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I feel like the way that like Disney is sort of, I mean, I feel like the way that Disney has sort of done the video games for Star Wars ever since they got the hold of the rights has been like completely fucking brain dead. Like, I mean, this is sort of an extension of how they've treated like the EU as a whole, but like with the video games, like LucasArts, the game studio used to work with like all kinds of fucking studios way back when they made like the Knights of the Old Republic games, and like, you know, sometimes it would pay off and you would get like something really awesome, and then like sometimes it wouldn't, but like they put out a lot of games because they work with all kinds of studios, and they had that's how you got like the KOTOR games, and you also got like my personal favorite, Republic Commando, which probably isn't a surprise to anyone who knows me, that Republic Commando is my favorite Star Wars game. But like,
yes, murder of children.
No, stop that.
Yeah.
But I feel like the whole thing where they've been like, okay, we're gonna just make a contract with EA, and the EA will be the only company making Star Wars games. And then once our contract is over, we're gonna make another contract with Ubisoft, and then Ubisoft is gonna be. It's like I feel it's like it's fucking brain dead. You know, it's like wait. There are so many talented, interesting students. Yeah, no, what? Sorry.
Are they making a contract with you so that Ubisoft is now Ubisoft is going to be the only people making Star Wars games?
As far as I know, there's still like there's a Fallen Order or something in the works, but as far as I know, yeah, Ubisoft is now going to be the studio that makes Star Wars games for.
I thought it was becoming like open, or like they could.
I thought so too. I hope that's the case, because there's a lot of really talented studios out there that like Platinum Games. I would fucking kill a person in real life to see a Platinum Games Star Wars hack and slash. Like,
what is Platinum Games done?
They're phenomenal at combat. Is what they are.
They basically they did Metal Gear Rising and Nier Automata, which I've talked about. I know you haven't played either of those. I don't played either of those. But like basically their whole thing is that they make very like speedy combat, like combo heavy games, which are basically just like all about playing these ultra violent games as fast as humanly possible, like a lunatic. And
fucking speed runs.
Yeah, basically. I mean, yeah, sort of.
Oh no.
Bayonetta. You played Bayonetta?
Yeah, I know.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Yes, in Super Smash.
I know of.
Yeah, they did. They're the Bayonetta guys. They do these like wacky ass hack and slash games where you have to acquire high grade heroin in order to functionally. And I think I've always felt like, if especially Metal Gear Rising, cause with the whole sword system, I feel like if they got a hold of a Star Wars game, that shit would be fucking unreal. I think, and like that, but that's just an example. Like there's so many different like talented, interesting studios out there that I look at them and I'm like, if they got a hold of Star Wars, if they got a hold of this crazy ass universe, and like someone just let them go to fucking work on a fun, interesting game, that shit would be great. But instead you get all these, with the exception of Fallen Order, which ruled. I feel like a lot of the problems I've had with a lot of like the EA games was how it really felt like they were, especially with Battlefront 2.
It's about money.
It's about money, and also it was really important to them that they were like, okay, we have to connect this to the main canon in some way, and connect this to like the sequel. It's basically just like advertisements for the sequel, for like whatever new movie was coming out at the time, and it was a little lame.
I totally agree. Yeah, like the last good Star Wars. Like I admit, SWTOR. I mean, it's probably been 4 years or so since I was playing it, but I did like it because like even the newer story, like the storylines, whoever they had on the writing team on that was really good. But like it was the only good Star Wars content coming out for years. Like there was nothing else. There were no other games to play. I like Battlefront. I played the first one, and I played like the first new one and the first new second one. And weirdly enough, I liked the first one more, which I thought was really strange. I liked the graphics better. I thought it just was more, but it was still really just boring. Like I don't care about that. If I'm gonna play a shooter, I still kind of prefer COD, and I don't understand why they would like go to the trouble to make that. It just seems weird to me. But like Ubisoft, like this new open world
like genres. Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah, like I'm just think like this new open world Star Wars. I think from what it sounds like, the people I will be giving it some hope, and I do hope they'll still be having some other companies making it, because I thought there were some other projects in the works. But now I'm not so sure, because I thought I remembered like hearing about other projects in the works like two years ago, or like maybe a year ago or so, and then I was like, oh good, okay, like that's when I thought I knew there were a bunch of like studios working on Star Wars games. But now it sounds like
if there are, and I'm wrong. This is a situation where I'd be glad to be wrong. Like
I know, but like I've only ever, now that you mentioned it, like I've only ever recently, at least, only been hearing about the Ubisoft one. Like I haven't heard a peep about any of the others, other than this weird like arena shooter that's I think almost a mobile game, but might also be for consoles too. Like I can't remember the details on that, but like there was one other one coming up.
Impacts.
Well, there's I mean. I'm just thinking about this now. Like, can you imagine like a fucking like this is the other problem I have is it's like super digestible. I saw your message. I just want to get this out because I just had this like a second ago, and now I can't stop thinking about it. And I'm not gonna live with myself if I don't get this out on podcast. But like, can you imagine a fucking Star Wars horror game? Like,
so good,
Bro, what do you mean, dude? That last mission in Fallen Order was a fucking horror game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like anytime, like there's some creepy ass missions in Republic Commando. There's like that, like you just said, the creepy ass mission in fucking Fallen Order. Star Wars is like a fucked up dark universe when it really wants to be. Can you imagine a whole game like fucking in that shit, just creepy and scary and like cosmic horror and shit? Now I'm not gonna be happy until I have that now that the idea is in my head. I mean, we were talking about fucking clone zombies earlier. You can make a whole game out of that. God damn.
Hold on now. It's Ubisoft. It'd basically just be a reskinned COD Zombies, but I digress.
Not by Ubisoft. I mean, I can't think of any like horror studios at the top of my hat. I can just think of like very talented directors. Like if they got the fucking Resident Evil team to do a Star Wars game, you know what I mean?
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting vein of topic. We should probably start wrapping things up a little bit. We've talked about 90% of the topics in Star Wars at this point.
Yeah.
So I think an interesting concept to end off on would be speculation related. We'll go in order from Gabe down, and we talk about, if Gabe wants to continue on his idea, a speculation or idea that we have had that we would love to see within the canon, either as a video game, book, or movie that's not currently in the works as far as we know. So Gabe, continue.
Okay. So I mean, I've been sort of developing this idea in my mind as I've just started to think about it, but like, I mean, my favorite game studio is Arcane, and now that I'm thinking about it, I can't get the idea of like Arcane did that Prey game, which was amazing. They did Dishonored, which I fucking adore. And like all I can think about is a lot of their games are they're very combat. They vary between like combat and powers, and they're amazing at like balancing the two. And all I can think about is like a fucking like a horror game where you're a fucking Jedi, and Arcane's doing force powers and shit with their amazing way of doing magic systems, and also some space horror shit. I can't get this idea out of my head. I'm gonna scream at Disney for the next year, however long it takes for them to just go to fucking Arcane and say, hey, make a fucking horror game, please get this guy off our case.
Oh,
good. Yes. Harass the conglomerate. Do it. I'll join you. Brooke, speculations, hopes, wants.
Shit. Shit. Hold on. I need to go get the books. Someone else go before me. Yeah, you go next.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is going to be very controversial in a sense. I kind of want them to do the Eternal Throne, or just a Disney attempt at the Eternal Throne.
I think that'd be
mostly because I just want to see a ship that acts like a fucking gun. It just looks like a pistol.
Connections, all those beams connecting, and I think that would be very cool. The Eternal Fleet sort of idea.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you don't have to talk. You don't have to talk about fucking Sith shit. Like just be like, we're just evil people who just use the Force. Like we don't identify as Sith. You know what I mean? Like something like that.
I think that's excellent. Yeah, I think that's an excellent plan. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Right. You're back?
I am back.
Go for it.
Okay. There's this series called Secret Missions. I don't know if anyone else knows about it. It takes place right after the Purge of the Jedi in the Attack of the Clones. And it follows an apprentice who's the same species as Thrawn. And it's been a while since I've read the series, but I remember loving it so very much, and I would have loved to see that become canon. And I don't think it ever will, but it would have been great, honestly, just as a quick TV show even, because there's 4 books in this series. I think they're very quick reads. I won't lie. They're just so good, and it also delves into Thrawn's species and Outer Rim territories and stuff like that. And it's so good, and I would have loved to see that become canon in the universe.
I want more sand planets like Tatooine. That's what I want.
Absolutely not. I fucking hate sand planets. Get rid of that.
It's enough.
Wait, actually, you know what? No, I lie. I want more snow planets like Ilum and Hoth and Belsavis. More snow. How about that? There we go. How about we make Coruscant too? What about how about that? Why?
They already did. It's the new center of the High Republic. They blew it up in the second movie because they didn't want to animate it.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, fine. Ord Mantell 2? I don't know.
I personally would very much like Disney to pull a fucking cop-out. And it's a cop-out that I normally absolutely hate, but given that it's Star Wars, it is the only thing I would accept. It has happened twice or 3 times in the Elder Scrolls universe. In that universe, it's called a Dragon Break. They split the goddamn timeline, remake Legends canon, and continue work within that, maybe turning a couple of those into features, and can keep their shit story canon as well. I don't know, some kind of force break that happens after the 6th movie that confuses the timeline, something that messes with things interdimensionally, and then we can still keep the EU and appreciate it, but also realize that Disney owns this weird story over here, and you can like both and still be canon. That's what I want.
We'd get new EU, old EU content. Oh my God, I'm so on board.
Time travel already exists.
It does.
Exactly.
All that'll take is Ezra going
exist.
back and doing some more fuckery to make that happen.
Yeah.
I normally hate that cop out. I normally fucking hate it. But to save my EU, I would accept it. I would give Disney the money and not the gun.
Oh, fully agree. Oh my God, yeah. Okay, well, I guess I do have actually an immediate answer to this. It's not super grand, but it is something I've wanted for literally an insane amount of time. I don't know if you guys have read the Knight Errant novel. it's set about 30 years before the Darth Bane books take place, and it's based on a comic series. So, but one novel was written, and they haven't even made an audiobook version, which bugs the heck out of me. But it's based on basically it follows like why Lord Khan's Brotherhood of Darkness became a thing. And it had basically it was like the Sith Empire got too big.
But we're equal.
Yes. They were like, it was like winning the war, and then they ended up getting too big, and then they all started having a bunch of infighting, and it split off into. I can only describe it as Game of Thrones, but Star Wars. It was like basically all these Siths each claimed a planet and started to just go batshit crazy, full of incest, and like there's this weird child Sith Lord that was just spoiled parents, all that. Like each world was like its own independent, just super, like they had a perfect villain that they thought out so well, and each of the planets had like there was this one where it was like Lord Damien and Lord Oberyn or something, and one of them was like thought he created the universe, and the other one was so angry that his brother created the universe that he wanted to destroy it. So it was like, but both of them were batshit. Like they were completely insane. Neither of them actually did that, but they just had these perceptions. It was a very, very, very entertaining story. So I would love to see more of that and get like that sort of time period built on more. And I guess that's my main want. And then I will say one other thing. This has nothing to do with that, but it was one Star Wars fact I thought I should mention that was interesting. But yeah, did you guys see that new like Disney lightsaber that they made? The one that like extends fully out of the hilt and looks like a real lightsaber? Have you guys seen that? The video?
I saw one video of a fire spinner spinning one of those things, and it looks expensive.
Oh, well, it's how it works is it's like tape measures. So inside it has like two tape measures that have LEDs, and it's like a cone. So when you press the button, the tape measures unfurl. So it's just a hilt, but it extends out to the length of a lightsaber. So it's a fully extendable, super realistic looking lightsaber. Like it looks so realistic. But how the Disney executive announced this lightsaber was one of the funniest things ever, because they were basically doing their LucasArts like Stockholm, or like the Stockholm, what am I saying? Like shareholder meeting. And they were taking care of all their business. Everything was like getting, finished up, and they were about to all leave. And then the like head guy was just like, okay, wait one moment. And he leaves the room, the lights all turn out, and then he walks back in. He reaches under his jacket, pulls out the lightsaber cylinder, activates it, says it's real, and then walks out of the room. It was so great. I wish I could have seen like the reactions on the people's faces. I was only hearing this in like an article that somebody wrote up about it, but I was like, oh my god, that's fantastic. Anyways, that's it. Yes.
Yeah, it's real. Look at all the money we're about to make, suckers.
Well, and it's not even going to be available. At least I don't know if it's going to be available to the public. I would totally buy one if it were, but I don't think it is. I think it's for, did you get like that new Star Wars themed hotel that's going to be $2,500 a night? And it's like insanely expensive. I think it's only for some of the actors that are like walking around there. It's not even something that we can buy as of yet. And I wish it were, because I would 100% buy one of those. They should give you one for $2,500 a night. They should give you that with the room.
Exclusivity and money making aside. Fuck Disney. Yeah. I think that wraps us up right away here.
Yeah,
I think it does. Yeah.
We're at what, like 3.5 hours now?
Oh, Dean can tell us in a moment, I'm sure. You there?
3:20.
3:20.
Plus like
all right, 4 hours. Let's go, boys.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I tuned in for like
pee so bad for like the last hour, so this is probably a good time. Yeah.
I just want to say quickly that Han Solo is an okay movie if you just view it as a space heist movie instead of a Han Solo origin story. By the way.
Agreed. Yeah.
They did nothing with that mall cameo, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it kind of implied that they're going to do something else in the future. We'll see.
Yeah. I would like that.
For now,
I love mall. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrap up.
So
Star Wars is good and bad, and that's about it.
Yeah. I like keep on thinking of other things I want to say, but then we'll just never end. So yeah.
Star Wars movies are kind of okay.
Can we make a
those are always good. Okay, that's it.
Controversial hot take, possibly the debate splitting opinion. Star Wars, good.
Star Wars is complicated. How about
I will reiterate, everyone.
It's good.
I will reiterate, everyone. I fucking hate Star Wars.
Yeah.
Good night.
Okay. Yeah, Star Wars is terrible. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night, everyone.